reveal its
and
next
create a
stunning
crater
secret?
15
My
kilometers
answer is
wide.
simple.
The
That
answer
moment
is exactly the
unfolding
speed
right
that
now. A
3IAtlas is
traveler from
traveling
the
right
darkness
now,
between the
87
stars
kilometers per
has
second,
arrived.
with a 12
If you're
billion-ton
watching
mass
this,
that
drop
includes
a
a
comment
mysterious
below and tell
metallic
us
core.
where in
NASA's
the world
latest
are you seeing
classified
this
data
video from?
reveals this
We'd
isn't
love to
behaving
know.
like any natural
Officially
object we've
cataloged
ever
as
studied,
3IAtlas,
and the
it is
trajectory
carving its way
calculations
through
are
our
becoming
solar
more
system at
terrifying with
breathtaking
each
speed.
update. In the
This
next
is
few
not some
minutes,
distant
I'm going to show
mathematical
you the
theory
evidence
or an
that has
abstract
Harvard
concept whispered
astrophysicists
about
questioning
in
whether
lecture
we're looking
halls.
at alien
This
technology,
is a live
why the
demonstration of
object's
celestial
clockwork
mechanics,
pulsing patterns
plasma
are
dynamics,
impossible to explain
and the raw
naturally,
physics
and
that
exactly
shape
what will
our
happen if
cosmic
this thing
neighborhood.
hits Mars in
We are
September.
witnessing in
On
real
July the
time
1st,
something
astronomers made a
extraordinary.
discovery that would soon
Imagine this
ignite heated
visitor,
debates
born in
across the
some
global
faraway
scientific
star
community.
system,
A
now
strange
drifting
object,
into the
later
bright
designated
glare of our sun,
3IAtlas,
as
was
its
spotted
icy
entering our
surface
solar
awakens
system. At
under
first glance,
intense
it
radiation.
seemed like a typical
The object
interstellar
begins
comet,
to speak
the
a
kind
language
of icy
older than
body
human
we might expect
civilization,
to pass
the
through
language
from the
of
far
light,
reaches of space.
heat, and
Astronomers
velocity.
assumed it
It
would
moves
behave
not
like
as a
countless
wandering
other
rock,
comets,
but as a messenger,
approaching
carrying
the
with
sun,
it the story of another
venting
world.
gas and dust,
This is a rare
and then
moment
fading
for
back into
humanity,
the
not a
blackness
theory
of
on a
interstellar
chalkboard,
space.
but a
But as
living
more data
experiment
began to
racing
pour
across
in,
the sky.
it became
Our
clear that
instruments,
this was
perched
no
on
ordinary
distant worlds
comet.
and
The
circling
orbital
far
path,
above the
the
Martian
speed,
surface,
and the
are
very
already
behavior of
listening.
3IAtlas
Every shimmer
stood
of
out
light,
as
every
anomalies.
shift in its
Most
glowing
comets are
tail,
unpredictable,
every
but still
pulse
bound
of
by
data
the chaotic
recorded is
physics
another
of ice
sentence in
and
the
rock.
story.
This one seemed to be
3IAtlas
operating
is
with
telling us
precision.
the
That's
opportunity
when Harvard
before us is fleeting.
astrophysicist
It will not
Avi
last
Loeb,
forever.
already
But for
known
these
for his
precious
bold
days,
suggestion
we are
that
standing
another
at the edge of
interstellar
discovery,
visitor, Oumuamua,
looking directly
might
at
have been
something that
artificial,
came from beyond
stepped
our sun.
forward with a theory
Right
that shook
now,
the scientific
3IAtlas is
establishment.
racing through our solar
Loeb
system
suggested
at
that
roughly 60
3IAtlas
kilometers
might not
every
be a
single
random
second.
chunk of rock
That
and ice
speed
at all.
alone is
Instead,
staggering,
he
but it is
proposed it could be
only
some form
the
of
beginning.
alien technology,
As it
a
dives
piece of
closer to the
machinery
heart of our
traveling
star,
between
its
star
momentum
systems
continues
with
to
a purpose
build.
we do not
By the
yet
time
understand.
it reaches its
At
closest
first,
approach,
many
its
dismissed
perihelion.
his claims
In
as
the final days
speculation.
of October,
After all,
its
it is
velocity
easier to
is
assume
expected
natural
to surge to
origins
nearly
than to
68
leap to
kilometers in a
extraterrestrial
second.
explanations.
Picture this
But
moment.
as telescopes
An
tracked the
interstellar
object
traveler
night after
ejected
night,
from a
the data
distant
started
and
leaning
unknown
closer
solar
toward
system
Loeb's
is now
controversial
hurtling
idea.
straight
Its
toward
movement
the
did
blazing
not
furnace
entirely match
that
the
surrounds
behavior
our
of
sun.
a passive
This
natural
is a region where
comet.
radiation
Instead,
is fierce.
it appeared to
Magnetic
respond
fields
to
twist
gravitational
and coil
tugs in ways
like
that looked
living
calculated,
things,
as though
and temperatures
adjustments were
rise
being
high
made.
enough to
This
melt
raised
even
deeper
the most
questions. If
resilient materials.
3IAtlas is not a
It
natural
is here
body,
in this
then
crucible
what
that
exactly
the object's
is it?
true nature
Could it be a
will be
derelict
revealed.
probe from a
Every
civilization
second counts
millions
as
of
it
years
approaches
older than
this solar
ours,
gauntlet.
drifting through
Dust,
space
ice,
until
and
it
hidden
found another
materials
planetary
locked deep
system?
within its core
Or is
will
it an
awaken
active
under the
messenger,
intense heat.
deliberately
Gas
launched
jets may
and guided
erupt,
to pass close
currents
to
may
planets
surge,
like Mars?
or it may
The
fragment
suggestion
entirely,
that we may be
scattering its
witnessing
story
alien
into
technology
countless
is not
glowing
one that
shards.
scientists make lightly.
Whatever happens,
it challenges
the sun will
centuries
draw
of
out its
assumptions about
secrets.
humanity's
And when
place
it
in
does,
the
our
universe.
telescopes
But
and instruments
3IAtlas
will be ready
refuses
to
to fit
listen.
neatly into the
To
familiar
truly follow
categories
the
of
journey
comet
of
or asteroid.
3IAtlas,
It is something
we have
different.
to look beyond
and
its
the
raw
fact that it
speed
has come
and
so
study
close
the
to our
elegant
solar
geometry of its
neighborhood,
path.
heading toward the red
This is not a
planet,
random
only
dash
deepens
through
the
space.
mystery. As
It
more
is a
evidence
carefully carved
accumulates,
arc through our
Avi
solar
Loeb's
system,
voice has grown
intersecting
louder,
the orbits
urging
of
the
planets,
scientific
bending
community
under the
not to
weight
dismiss
of the
the
sun's
possibility
gravity,
too quickly.
and offering
He warns that
humanity a
labeling
series
the
of
object
narrow
as
windows
just another
through
comet
which we
could
can
blind
glimpse
us to the
its
reality
secrets.
that we
Now,
may
if
be
you
looking
enjoyed
at
this
the
journey
first
through the
true
stars,
sign
hit that
of
subscribe
advanced
button
life beyond
and
Earth.
join us
And if
for
he is
more
correct,
cosmic
then
discoveries.
3IAtlas is not
In
just
the early
passing
days
through.
of October,
It
this
is a
visitor
message,
swept past
a
the red
machine,
planet.
or perhaps even a
it
test.
moved to
When
within
astronomers
roughly
first locked
1/4
onto
of the
3IAtlas
Earth-Sun
in early
distance
July,
from Mars.
the general
That
consensus
moment
was reassuring.
more than a
This
cosmic
interstellar traveler,
coincidence.
though
It
fast and
created a perfect
unusual,
alignment
seemed
between the
destined to
object,
sweep
Mars,
past
and our
Mars at a
observing
safe distance.
instruments
It would
scattered
be
across the
spectacular
Martian
to
sky.
observe, but
While Earth's
completely
telescopes
harmless,
will soon
a
face the
cosmic
blinding brilliance
firework
of the
flashing
sun,
by,
Mars
and then
stands in the
vanishing
right
back
place at
into
the
the
right time like
darkness
a
of deep
silent
space.
guardian
But
holding
that
the
sense
line
of
of sight.
calm
From
didn't last
orbiters
long.
to rovers,
As more
every lens
observatories
is turned
began to
toward
feed in their
this
data,
celestial
both
messenger.
Harvard's team
Then,
and
on the
NASA's
21st of
Jet
October,
Propulsion
the
Laboratory
dance changes.
took a closer look
The
at the
sun will
object's
slide
path.
directly
What they
between
found
Earth and
quickly erased the
3IAtlas,
comfort of that
creating
early
what
assessment.
astronomers call
The trajectory
superior
wasn't
conjunction.
stable. In fact, it
From
was
our
tightening.
homeworld,
Instead
the
of
object will
drifting
simply
along a predictable
disappear.
course,
The
3I
overwhelming light of our
Atlas
star
was
will
bending
swallow
inward
its faint
toward
glow,
Mars in a way
and for a
no
moment,
one had expected.
we'll be deaf and
Before we
blind to
dive
its
in,
passage.
hit that
But
subscribe
this is
button
not the
and
end of
turn
the
on
story. It is the
notifications.
silence
You don't want to
before
miss any
the
updates
storm.
on the universe's
Because
deepest
as the
secrets.
month
And if you
nears its
love
end,
exploring hidden
something
mysteries and
remarkable
unexplained
happens.
discoveries,
Between
give
the
this
29th
video a like
and the
so we
31st
know to
3i
keep
Atlas
uncovering
reaches
them. The
perihelion,
updated calculations
the
are nothing
point
short of
in its
alarming.
orbit when
According
it
to
draws
current models,
closest to the
3IAtlas
sun, it will
is
be
now
moving at
projected
breathtaking
to make its
speed,
closest
surface
approach
locked
to
in
the
a
red
battle
planet
with
on
intense
September
solar
26,
radiation.
2025.
Icy material
The
may
distance,
burst free in
just
plumes,
1.95
its tail may lengthen
million
into a
kilometers
luminous of light,
interplanetary space.
or under the
That's
crushing
razor
forces
thin,
it could
close enough
shatter,
that Mars's
leaving
gravity
glowing
could actually
fragments
begin to tug
streaking
at the
through
object,
space. This entire
influencing its
sequence,
motion in
the close
subtle
brush
but
with
critical
Mars,
ways.
the blinding
To put it into
conjunction,
perspective,
the fiery
Saturn
encounter at
Tragatron
perihelion,
Saturn is about
choreography.
5 times the gap
Each
between
date
Earth and
is
the
a
Moon.
turning point.
In everyday
Each
terms, that
alignment
might sound
opens a
wide,
new
but in
window
orbital
for
mechanics, it's a
discovery.
cosmic near miss.
And while the
The
object
difference
hurtles
between a
forward
safe
on a path
flyby
written long
and a
before
direct
humanity
impact
even
comes
existed,
down to tiny
we now
deviations,
find ourselves as
sometimes
witnesses,
no more than a
listening
fraction
to
of
the
a degree
universe as it
or a few
speaks in
seconds
the
of
language of
acceleration.
light,
And with every
geometry,
hour that
and motion.
passes,
As Earth
gravitational
slips
nudges
into its
from the
blind
Sun,
period, the
Jupiter,
red planet
and
becomes
Mars
our
itself
cosmic
are
outpost.
reshaping
While the
3I
sun's
Atlas's
brilliance
course
drowns
in
out the
ways that
faint
add
light
up
of
over
3i
millions of
Atlas
kilometers.
from our
Astronomers
home world,
describe the situation
Mars
as a
holds
balancing
a
act
clear
on a
and
razor's edge.
uninterrupted view.
Even now, as
It is
predictions
no exaggeration
improve,
to
the
say that
object's
the most
path is
critical
being
data of
updated
this entire
almost daily.
encounter
The
may
closer it
come
gets,
not from
the
Earth,
harder it
but
becomes
from
to
that
ignore the
distant
possibility
rust-colored
that
world.
Mars could end up
Orbiting
directly
high
in the
above Mars,
crosshairs.
a
What
fleet
makes
of
this more
robotic
unsettling
explorers
is
is
the
already
speed
on
at which these
standby.
changes are happening.
The Mars Express
Normal comets
spacecraft
can
and
wander
the
in their
ExoMars
orbits due
Trace
to
Gas
outgassing,
Orbiter from
plumes
Europe
of
are
gas
both
and dust
perfectly
that act like
positioned,
tiny
their
thrusters.
instruments
But
tuned to capture the
3IAtlas is
faintest
accelerating
changes
and
in light and
adjusting
chemistry.
in ways that look
Every
deliberate,
pixel, every
not
spectrum,
random.
every flicker they
Every
record will
shift
help us
in its
decode
path
what
seems
this
to tighten
interstellar
the
visitor
noose
is
around
truly made of.
Mars, as
But
if
they
the
are
red
not
planet
alone.
is the destination
Circling the
rather
Martian
than an
skies, the
accidental
Mars
bystander.
Reconnaissance
If
Orbiter
these
carries
calculations
one of the
hold,
sharpest
Mars is not
cameras
just going to
ever
get a
sent
close
to another
encounter.
planet,
It could be staring
capable
down the
of
most dangerous
catching subtle
cosmic visitor
details
in
in
its
the
recorded
darkness of
history.
space.
And the date is
Alongside
already
it,
circled
MAVEN, the
on every
Apogee Mount
astronomer's
Monitor,
calendar.
is ready
Late
to listen
September
to the faint whispers
2025.
of gases
That
and
is
plasma
when we will know,
as the object
once and
roars
for all,
past.
whether
They are
3I Atlas
coordinated,
will simply
multi-angle
graze past
measurements
Mars
designed to
or
build a
collide with
three-dimensional story of
devastating
a
force.
traveler
If
from
the
another star
trajectory of
system.
3I Atlas
While
wasn't
Earth
enough to
telescopes
raise
are
alarms,
silenced by solar
its sheer
glare,
speed
this
has
network
left scientists
becomes our
stunned.
eyes and ears.
This object is not
It
just
is a
moving
remarkable
fast, it's
demonstration
moving
of how
faster
far
than
human
anything
technology
humanity has ever
has
recorded
stretched
coming into
beyond
the
our
solar
home
system
world.
from interstellar
Mars,
space.
once
Current
a distant
measurements
target
place its
itself,
velocity at
now
an astonishing
stands as a
87
scientific
kilometers
ally,
per second
allowing
relative
us
to the
keep
sun.
watching
To put that
even
into
when our
perspective,
own
Odebrecht,
skies turn
Sibadider,
blind.
Sitzan
In this
Fonzao.
moment,
Imagine
our
the vast
robotic
gulf between
explorers are
Earth
not
and the
just
Moon,
orbiting
a
another
distance of nearly
planet.
400,000
They are standing on the
kilometers.
front line
At
of
its present
discovery.
speed,
In the stillness of early
3IAtlas
September,
could cover that
astronomers
distance in less
began
than
to
80
notice
minutes.
something
That is faster than
strange.
the speed of most
3i
spacecraft
Atlas
by
wasn't
several
behaving
orders
the
of
way the model
magnitude,
said it
faster
should.
even than the escape velocity
its glow,
needed
faint
to
at
break
first,
free from our
started to
solar
rise with a
system.
quiet but
It is,
unmistakable
quite literally,
intensity.
a bullet
As the
tearing
object
across
slipped
the
past the
cosmic
two
void.
astronomical
But speed
unit
alone
mark,
isn't the
the
only
increase in
concern.
brightness
The more dangerous
accelerated,
factor is what
climbing
happens
steadily
when an
until it
object
reached a
moving
level
this fast
near magnitude
interacts
12.
with the
That
gravitational
might sound
forces of the
small,
solar system.
but in the language
Every
of the night
planet,
sky,
every
it
moon,
is significant.
even the sun itself exerts
magnitude
a pull.
12
For a normal
means
comet,
the object,
these tugs shift the
though
orbit slightly,
invisible to the
nudging it
naked
onto
eye,
a new but
can
still
be clearly
predictable
seen
path.
through
For
modest
something as
backyard
fast and
telescopes,
massive as
the kind owned
3IAtlas,
not just by
however,
major
even the
observatories,
smallest nudge
but by
becomes
patient
magnified
amateur
over time.
stargazers
Astronomers
scattered
have
across the
calculated
globe.
that with each
What was
passing
expected
hour,
to be a whisper
the
of
object's
light had become
trajectory
a
is being
distinct
adjusted
voice
by mere
cutting
micrometers
through
per
the
second.
darkness.
On
This
paper,
surge
that
in
might sound
luminosity
insignificant,
did not
almost
align with the
laughably
initial
small,
mathematical
but stretched
projections.
across tens
The models
of
have
millions of
anticipated a
kilometers.
slower, steadier
These
rise,
minuscule
but
changes
3i
add up
Atlas
to vast
seem to be
deviation,
rewriting the script.
enough to alter whether
Perhaps
the
trapped
object
pockets of
harmlessly
volatile
grazes
gases had
past
begun to
Mars
erupt sooner
or
than
collides
expected,
with
forming
devastating
jets that
precision.
reflected
This
sunlight
is why
more efficiently.
scientists
Or
describe the
perhaps the
situation
object's
as
surface
unstable.
was structurally different than we
3IAtlas
imagined.
is like
Its
a
icy
high-speed
crust
train
crumbling
racing
into
along a
fine
track
dust
where
that
even the
brightened its
slightest
surrounding
bend could send
halo.
it careening
Whatever the
into
cause, this
disaster.
anomaly
Its momentum
matters.
makes it incredibly
Brightness is
resistant
more
to
than just a
stopping,
visual
but
feature.
frighteningly
It
sensitive
is a
to the
language.
tiniest directional
It tells
changes.
us about
That
composition,
combination of
temperature,
unstoppable
internal
speed
structure,
and
and
razor-edge
behavior under
instability
solar
is what
stress.
has NASA and
Every
Harvard
unexpected
astronomers
flare,
on edge.
every spike
The
in
real
intensity
question is this:
is a
are
clue.
these shifts in
And
its
right
path
now,
purely natural,
3IAtlas
the
is
result of
speaking
random
in a way that has
gravitational
caught the
pulls and
attention of
chaotic periodic
both
outgassing,
professionals
or
and
are they being
skywatchers
guided,
alike. It's a
deliberately
reminder
steered
that in the
to
quiet
ensure a
expanse of
closer
space,
and closer
even the
path
smallest
toward
shift
Mars?
can reveal
If the
something
latter is true,
extraordinary.
then this
On a
isn't
cold
just a
Martian
speeding
night, as
interstellar
Perseverance
rock.
turned its
It's something
camera
with
toward the
intent,
sky,
something capable
remarkable
of
appeared.
navigating with
In
precision
a sequence of
at
long,
velocities that
stacked
dwarf
exposures,
anything
a
humanity
single
has
narrow
ever
streak
engineered.
cut across the
The
stillness
faster
of the
it
star
moves,
field,
the
a
harder
diagonal
it is to
slash
ignore
of
what is at
light
stake.
that
A
refused to
flyby would be
vanish.
historic enough.
One
The
frame after
fastest
another, it
interstellar
held its
visitor
shape, its
ever
angle, its
observed.
motion.
But a
This was
collision
no
at these
random
speeds
glitch.
would unleash
This was a
energy on
traveler
a
in
scale
motion.
almost
Cosmic
beyond
rays strike
comprehension.
sensors in
And every
unpredictable
hour that
bursts,
ticks by brings
brief
the
and
object one
chaotic.
step closer.
Satellites
Its course
orbiting
more
Mars
refined,
trace
its
smooth
future
arcs that can
more
be calculated
uncertain.
and
For
identified.
centuries,
But this
astronomers
streak
have studied
matched
comets
neither
and their
direction,
behavior
its
as they
timing,
journey closer
and its
to the
sharpness
sun.
aligned
When
with the
sunlight
predicted
strikes a
path of
comet's
3IAtlas
icy surface,
as it
frozen
swept
gases
past the
sublimate,
red planet.
venting into
For a
space
rover
in
built
random
to
bursts.
search for the
These
traces of
eruptions
ancient
create the
Martian
glowing
life,
tails we
this
see
was an
streaking across
unexpected
the
moment,
sky.
a
But the
chance
one
to catch a
constant
visitor
in
from the
cometary science
stars
is chaos.
slicing through
The
its
events are
field of view.
unpredictable, irregular,
The image
and never
itself is
precise.
not spectacular in the
3IAtlas,
way a
however,
comet
is
tail
breaking
blazes
every
across
rule.
an Earth
Instead
sky.
of releasing
It
gas
is
at
subtle,
random intervals,
almost delicate,
telescopes
but
around
science
the world
often
have
hides
detected
its
an
greatest
astonishing
revelations
pattern.
in these quiet
Precise,
details.
clock-like
That
pulses
thin streak is
every
evidence, a
17
puzzle
minutes.
piece fitting
Not
perfectly
once,
into
not twice,
orbital
but over days
calculations,
of continuous
confirming that the
observation.
object was
This
exactly
rhythm
where it was
has held
expected
steady,
to be,
as if
and
the
moving
object
as
were running
fast
on
as the
some kind
models
of
had
internal
predicted.
timer.
For
This
the
is
teams
not
watching
the
from
behavior
millions
of
of
a natural
kilometers
body.
away,
No
this single
comet in the solar
observation
system
carries
has
weight.
ever
It
demonstrated
bridges
anything like it.
theory
In fact,
and reality.
scientists liken
It
it to the
transforms
ticking of a
numbers on
metronome
a screen
or the
into
steady
something
firing of
tangible,
thrusters on a spacecraft.
captured by a machine
Each pulse
resting on
releases gas
alien
in a
soil.
controlled burst,
Perseverance
producing just
became,
enough
for a
force
brief
to
and
subtly
extraordinary
shift
moment,
the
a
object's
witness
path.
to an
And when
interstellar
those shifts
visitor
are added
racing
together
past
over time,
Mars.
they form
And
a
that
clear
streak
pattern.
of light,
The object
faint but
is being steered
undeniable,
toward Mars'
now belongs
orbital
to the
plane.
growing
Think about
archive
the
of
implication.
human knowledge
Natural
about
comets
this
vent
wandering
when
messenger
sunlight
from
heats
beyond our
fresh
sun.
patches of ice.
As
And those eruptions
3IAtlas
are
surges
chaotic.
closer
Jets
to the
firing
blazing
here,
heart
then
of
there,
our star,
often breaking
its
apart
behavior
the nucleus
begins to
as
shift
the comet
in
tumbles through
ways
space.
that
But
command attention.
3IAtlas behaves with an
Scientists
eerie
around the world are
precision. The
carefully
gas doesn't
watching
erupt
as the
randomly.
sunlight,
It fires
fierce
in
and
deliberate,
unrelenting,
synchronized
strikes
jets,
its surface.
as though following
What was once a
instructions.
silent traveler
Astronomers
is now
watching
coming
this
alive
phenomenon
under the
have
pressure
admitted
of
that
solar
no
radiation.
known natural process
The
can
leading
explain
theory is
such
simple
clockwork
in
regularity.
concept, but
One researcher
profound in
described it as
consequence.
attitude
Intense
control,
heating from the sun
exact
is
same
awakening
technique
the frozen
spacecraft use to
material
adjust their
buried deep
orientation
inside the
and
object.
trajectory
Ice
with
is
small
locked in
bursts
place
of
for
propellant.
untold
It's
ages
as
are
if
suddenly bursting free,
3IAtlas is flying
releasing
itself,
gas and dust
adjusting
into
its course
space.
step by
But this is
step
no ordinary
as it
reaction.
races through
As
the
solar
solar
wind
system.
collides with
And
that
the
escaping
target of
material,
these adjustments?
plasma interactions
Mars.
ignite a
Each
complex chain
synchronized
of events.
outburst appears aligned to
Spectroscopic
gradually
measurements
reduce
are already
the missed
hinting
distance,
at something
pulling the
familiar
object ever
and
closer to the
intriguing.
red planet's path.
Astronomers are
By
watching
September
for
of
the telltale
2025,
signs of
the
C2
cumulative
emissions,
effect
known
of
as
these
swan
tiny
bands,
pulses could
a
shrink the gap
signature
from
often
millions
linked
of
to
kilometers
comets when
to
carbon
just
molecules
tens
are
of
excited by
thousands, closer
sunlight.
than some
These
of Mars's
emissions
own
can
moons.
create a
If this is
luminous
merely
green
coincidence, it is the
a
most
kind of emerald
extraordinary
halo
one in
that
the
wraps
history
around
of
the
comet
object
science.
as it
But if it
hurtles
isn't,
forward.
then what we are
Yet
watching
this glow
is no random
strengthens. It may
outgassing
reveal
at all.
not only
It is
what
navigation,
3IAtlas is
deliberate,
made of, but
precise,
how
and
it's
perhaps
responding
purposeful.
to the solar
question then
environment.
becomes chilling.
But there's more.
Who
Alongside
or
this
what
growing
programmed
brightness,
this interstellar
scientists are
traveler
preparing
to
for the
behave this
possibility
way?
of structural
The tightening
change.
trajectory of
The intense heating, the
3IAtlas
jets
has
of
led
gas,
to one
the
terrifying
violent
possibility:
pressure from
a
sunlight
direct
itself,
collision with
all
Mars.
of it could crack
Right now,
or fracture
the
the
object
surface.
is still on course for a near miss.
The object may
But
fragment,
astronomers
shedding
warn
pieces
that it
that
wouldn't
spiral
take much
behind
to
it
tip
like
the
glowing
balance.
embers.
A change of
Or
just
it may
10
hold
kilometers
together,
per second
becoming
in
brighter
velocity.
still
A tiny
as its envelope
fraction compared to its
thickens.
current speed
In this moment,
could redirect the
3IAtlas is
object
no
straight
longer
into
just
the
a
red
distant
planet.
point of light.
This isn't a
It is an
far-fetched
unfolding physical
what if.
drama.
The
Ice,
outgassing
gas, and
pulses
sunlight
already.
locked in a
Observed
delicate
are
and
providing
volatile
small
dance.
but steady
The
bursts
emerald
of
glow,
thrust.
if
And if one of
confirmed,
those
will not
bursts
just be
happens to
beautiful.
align just right,
It will be a
it could
message
provide the
written in
additional
chemistry,
momentum needed to
telling
shift
us
its orbit
about the
into a
building blocks
collision
of a
path.
world that
In other
was
words,
born far
the
beyond
comet
the
may
reach
already
of
have
our
the
sun.
means to deliver
The
that
story
final
of
push.
3IAtlas
If
does
impact
not
occurs,
end with a
the
single
consequences
flyby
for
or
Mars
a
would be
fleeting glimpse.
catastrophic.
Its
Scientists
passage through our
estimate the
solar
mass of
system is being
3IAtlas
tracked
at nearly
with
10
extraordinary
billion
patience and
tons,
foresight,
with a dense
extending
metallic
far
core
beyond
roughly
the immediate
400 meters
observations from
across.
Mars.
A
The
body of that
European
size
Space
striking at
Agency's
interstellar
JUICE
velocity
spacecraft
would
already
unleash an
navigating the
explosion
inner reaches
equivalent
of
to
the
2
solar
million
system,
megatons
will
of TNT.
join this grand
That's
surveillance,
not twice the
offering
yield of
a
the largest
wider
nuclear device
perspective
ever
and
tested.
extended
It's thousands
baseline
of
for
times
monitoring.
greater. The
This is the
crater
nature
left
of
behind
serious
would be apocalyptic in
scientific
scale.
investigation.
60 Fedor
Observing an
sounders,
interstellar
kilometers
object
wide
is not a
and
race
5
to capture a
kilometers
single
deep.
moment.
A wound
It is a relay
carved
that
into the
stretches
Martian
across months,
surface that would
even
remain
years.
visible for eons.
Data collected
Shock
today
waves
may
would
not
ripple
reach
across
public
the planet,
archives for
while
some
molten
time.
debris would be thrown
Operational
high into the
constraints,
atmosphere and
line
far
of
into
sight
space.
limitations,
Some of it could
the
even
intricate
escape
choreography
Mars's
of space
gravity entirely,
communications mean that
spreading
portions
across
of
the solar
the
system.
DASAT
The damage wouldn't
might
be
remain
confined to
private
the planet
until
itself.
the year 2026.
Mars is a hub of exploration,
Yet
home
this
to
delay
orbiters,
is not a
rovers,
drawback.
and landers
It reflects
from
the
multiple
rigor of
space
modern
agencies.
astronomy.
Satellites
Each
like the
measurement,
Mars
each
Reconnaissance
spectrum, each
Orbiter,
image must be
the
carefully
European Mars
processed,
Express,
validated,
and surface missions like
cross-referenced
Perseverance
with
and
parallel
Curiosity
observations.
form the backbone
Only
of our
then
Martian
can we be
science. An
confident that
impact
what
of
we
this
have
magnitude
captured
could
is not an
destroy or
illusion,
cripple
a
decades of
random
progress
cosmic
in a
ray,
single
or a
instant.
miscalculation
Communications relays
in our
could vanish.
instruments.
Climate data,
By combining
life search
immediate
missions,
observations
and future
with
human
long-term
exploration
monitoring,
plans could all be
scientists
set
hope to
back
build a
by
complete
generations.
portrait
For
of
scientists,
3IAtlas.
the potential impact represents
Every
both
angle,
nightmare
every
and
wavelength,
opportunity.
every
It would be the
fleeting
largest
anomaly
planetary
contributes
collision
to a
witnessed in
deeper
the modern
understanding
era,
of its
a
structure,
once-in-a-civilization
its chemistry, and
chance
its
to
journey.
study
In
interstellar
this way,
material,
patience becomes a
interacting
tool as vital as
violently with
telescopes or
another
cameras.
world. But it would
And when
come
the
at
full
an
story
enormous
finally emerges,
cost.
we will
The
have
loss
a
of
rich,
billions of dollars in
verified
equipment,
record of one of the
and
most
possibly the
remarkable interstellar
contamination of
visitors
Mars itself
humanity
with
has
materials
ever
that may
witnessed.
not be
Within a
natural
single
at all.
decade,
The thought
humanity
that this
has
could
now
happen,
encountered
not in
3
millions of
confirmed
years,
visitors
but in just
from
over
beyond
12
our
months,
solar
is
system.
what keeps
First
researchers
came
awake at night.
Oumuamua, a strange,
September 26,
elongated body that
2025
defied every
looms ever
expectation.
closer.
Then
And with
Borisov
it, the
arrived, a more
possibility of a
familiar
collision that
cometary
could
object,
rewrite the
yet
history of
still
Mars,
full of surprises.
and perhaps the
And now
history of
3IAtlas
intelligent
takes
life in
its
the
place
cosmos.
among these
Up to
cosmic
this point,
wanderers,
the
each
anomalies
one
of
challenging what we
3IAtlas could
thought
be
we
explained
knew
away,
about interstellar
at least
travelers.
in theory, as
Each of
rare
these objects
but
tells
natural
a different
behaviors.
story.
An odd
Oumuamua
trajectory,
passed through like a
strange
ghost,
gas
its
emissions,
unusual shape and
even its
acceleration
incredible speed
puzzling
might be
scientists
stretched into
and
the realm
inspiring
of
countless
possibility.
theories.
But the most recent
Borisov,
evidence
with
is
its
something
icy tail
altogether
and
different.
familiar
Deep
chemistry
space radar
reminded us
facilities,
that
including
interstellar
NASA's
objects
powerful
can also
Goldstone
behave in
solar
ways
system
that
radar in
echo
California
our
have been
own
quietly
comets,
tracking
yet still
3IAtlas
with
since its
deviations that
discovery.
made it
Normally,
unique.
when comets are scanned
3IAtlas
this
now
way,
continues
the echoes
this trend,
return soft
revealing
and
phenomena we
diffuse,
did not
consistent
anticipate.
with surfaces of ice
Unexpected
and dust.
brightness
But the
surges,
radar profile of
rapid rotation,
3IAtlas was
plasma
nothing like that.
interactions, and
Instead of
chemical
scattering
emissions
gently,
that may
the radar
illuminate
beams
its
bounced back
composition.
with hard metallic
This trio
echoes,
of
the
wanderers
kind of
forces
reflection
us
you'd
to
expect from
rethink the
steel,
boundaries of
titanium,
planetary
or
science.
other dense
They remind
alloys.
us that the cosmos
Materials
is
like
far
these
richer,
are not
more
formed
varied,
naturally in the
and
void
far
of
less
interstellar
predictable
space.
than our
They are
models often
forged,
assume.
engineered.
Every
For
new
weeks,
visitor from
these
the
results
stars
were kept
acts as a
classified,
natural
locked
laboratory,
away in restricted data
testing our
servers.
understanding,
But leaks began circulating
refining our
among the scientific
calculations,
community,
and sometimes
hinting at something
overturning
extraordinary.
long-held assumptions.
Harvard
And in
astrophysicist
observing
Avi Loeb,
3IAtlas,
already
we are
controversial for
witnessing
suggesting
science in motion.
Oumuamua might have
It
been
is a lesson
artificial,
in humility,
went public
a
with his
reminder
interpretation.
that even as our
Working with one of his
instruments grow
graduate students,
sharper
he
and
argued
our
that the
models more
echoes prove
sophisticated,
3IAtlas
the universe
is not
continues
just
to
another
surprise,
comet, but a
provoke,
structure,
and
possibly a
inspire.
technological
Each interstellar
artifact,
visitor is a
cloaked
teacher,
beneath a
and
thin shell of ice
3IAtlas
to
has just
masquerade as a
begun its
natural
lecture.
object.
What
This theory may
3IAtlas
sound
teaches
like
us
science
extends
fiction,
far
but consider
beyond
the evidence,
the specifics
the
of its
precise,
pathochemistry.
timed-out gassing
This event
pulses
is a
behaving like
window
thrusters,
into the
deliberate
very
alignment with
essence
Mars's
of
orbital
scientific
plane.
progress.
And now,
Discovery
radar
does not
signatures
arrive in a
indicating
single
alloys
flash of
unknown
certainty.
in natural comets.
It unfolds slowly,
Loeb describes
patiently,
the object
piece
as
by
resembling
piece, through
an
careful
interstellar
measurements,
probe,
repeated
a
observations,
machine built
and
by some
independent
intelligence,
confirmations.
its
It
metallic
is the
frame hidden
meticulous
beneath
collection of
volatile
data,
ices
the layering
that
of
create a
evidence,
convincing
and the
comet-like
relentless
disguise.
questioning of
The ice would
assumptions
not
that
only
build
provide
true
camouflage,
understanding.
but also serve
In
as
the weeks
fuel,
to come, as
vented in
3IAtlas
exact
disappears
amounts to alter
temporarily
its trajectory,
behind the glare of
just
the
as
sun
we've
from
observed.
Earth's
If true,
perspective,
3IAtlas could be the
we
first
prepare
piece
for
of
the
alien
moment
technology
it
humanity
reemerges
has
in
ever
December,
encountered up
transformed
close.
by
Not
its
a distant
passage
radio signal,
through
not a
the
mathematical
solar
anomaly.
inferno.
A physical machine,
At that point,
a
fresh
visitor
observations
crossing
will
the
be
gulf
gathered
between
compared with the
stars.
recordings
But if this
made
is
before its
technology,
perihelion
the biggest
and analyzed
question
with
isn't
precision.
how it works.
Every
The
shift in
question is why
brightness,
it's
every
here,
spectral
and why,
signature,
of all
every
the planets in
plume
the
of
solar
gas or
system,
dust
it seems to
will
be
be
steering itself
examined.
toward Mars.
These
While
observations
scientists
will not
debate
remain
whether
mere numbers on a
3IAtlas is
screen.
natural or
They will
engineered,
form the
a
foundation
series
of
of
research
unsettling
papers,
observations
doctoral
from Mars
theses,
has pushed
and
the
scientific
discussion into
discussions
darker
that may
territory.
reshape
The
our
European Space
understanding of
Agency's Mars
interstellar
Express
objects.
orbiter
Future
has been
generations
circling
of
the red planet
astronomers will
since
reference the Martian
2003,
imaging
providing
campaigns,
some of the
the
most
brightness
detailed
anomalies,
imagery of
the
its
diagonal
surface and
streaks captured
atmosphere.
by
But in the last
Perseverance,
several months,
and
its
the
instruments
spectral
have recorded
fingerprints
something unusual.
recorded by
3
orbiting
small,
observatories.
highly reflective objects glinting
3IAtlas
just above
reminds
the
us that
Martian
knowledge
atmosphere.
is not
At
delivered
first,
in
mission
moments of
engineers
spectacle
brushed
alone.
it off.
It grows
Cosmic
quietly
rays
through
often streak
dedication,
across
patience, and
detectors,
curiosity.
leaving behind bright
The
specks
universe
that
owes
mimic
us no
objects in space.
simplicity,
But
no
this wasn't a
easy
one-time
answers.
glitch.
Yet it
The
offers
same three
consistency.
reflections
And in
appeared
that
again
consistency,
and again
armed with
and again.
technology,
Each time,
imagination,
they were in the
and
same
persistence,
position, locked in what
humanity
astronomers
stands
now
ready,
describe
listening
as a
intently to a
triangular
visitor
formation.
from the stars,
Cosmic rays
learning
don't
lessons that will
form
last
triangles,
far longer
and they
than
don't
the fleeting
maintain
light
formation
of any
across
comet
multiple
or
imaging
asteroid.
passes. The
Don't forget
unsettling
to
implication
subscribe and stay
is that
tuned.
these aren't sensor
Tomorrow
artifacts
we'll release
at all.
a brand
They
new
could be
video,
physical craft,
and there's so
small
much
probes
more
or
of the
satellites
universe waiting to
deployed
be
silently into
explored.
orbit around
People
Mars.
often ask
Their
me as a
reflectivity
theoretical
suggests
physicist,
metallic
when will the
surfaces,
universe
and their
reveal its
spacing
next
is consistent
stunning
with a
secret?
controlled
My
configuration
answer is simple.
rather than
That
random
moment
debris.
is unfolding
If
right
this interpretation
now.
holds,
A traveler from the
it
darkness
leads to an
between the
extraordinary
stars
hypothesis.
has arrived.
3IAtlas
If you're
may
watching
not
this,
be arriving
drop
alone.
a comment
It
below
could
and
already
tell
have
us
dispatched scouts
where in the
ahead
world
of
are
its
you seeing
approach.
this video from.
Like reconnaissance
We'd love
drones
to know.
preparing the ground
Officially
for something
cataloged
larger
as
to come.
3IAtlas,
The timing
it
is
is
difficult to
carving its
ignore.
way through our
These
solar
reflective
system at
anomalies
breathtaking
first
speed.
appeared in the months
This
after
is not some
3IAtlas
distant
was
mathematical
detected
theory
entering the
or an
solar
abstract
system,
concept
as if
whispered
its
about
presence was the trigger.
in lecture
Skeptics
halls.
argue there
This
must
is
be
a
a
live
mundane
demonstration
explanation.
of celestial
Fragments of
mechanics,
Martian moon,
plasma dynamics,
perhaps, or
and
untracked
the raw
space junk
physics
from past
that
missions.
shape our cosmic
Yet neither
neighborhood.
Phobos nor
We are
Deimos
witnessing
can
in
account
real
for their
time
exact
something
altitude or their
extraordinary.
stable geometry.
Imagine
and
this
human
visitor,
spacecraft,
born in
none
some
are known to
faraway
be
star
operating in
system,
that orbit,
now
let
drifting
alone
into
in
the
precise
bright glare of
triangular
our sun.
formation.
As
If
its
these
icy
really are
surface
probes,
awakens
their mission
under
is a mystery.
intense
Are
radiation,
they monitoring Mars's
the
surface,
object begins
mapping
to
its
speak
resources,
a language older than
tracking our
human
satellites and
civilization,
rovers,
the language
or are
of
they
light,
simply waiting,
heat, and
relaying
velocity.
data back to the
It
larger
moves
object
not as a
on its
wandering
inbound
rock,
course?
but as a
For
messenger,
the first time,
carrying with it the
scientists are
story
being
of another
forced to
world.
consider that
This is a rare moment for
3IAtlas
humanity,
may
not a
just
theory
be a
on a
visitor. It may
chalkboard,
be
but a living
conducting
experiment
operations,
racing across the
coordinated,
sky.
strategic,
Our
and
instruments,
deliberate.
perched
And if
on
that's
distant
true,
worlds
then
and
its
circling
destination
far
isn't
above the
random at
Martian
all.
surface,
Mars
are already
may have been
listening.
chosen long before
Every
we
shimmer
ever
of light,
spotted it.
every
The
shift
moment the
in its
anomalies
glowing
of
tail,
3IAtlas
every
became
pulse of data
undeniable,
recorded
the
is
world's
another
space
sentence in the
agencies
story.
quietly shifted
3IAtlas
gears.
is telling
Publicly,
us the
their
opportunity
updates
before
remain
us is
calm,
fleeting. It will not last
routine,
forever.
and even
But for these
dismissive.
precious
The kind
days,
of language
we are
designed to
standing at the
reassure
edge of
rather
discovery,
than alarm.
looking
But behind
directly
the
at something
scenes,
that came
a very
from beyond
different
our
story
sun.
is unfolding.
Right now,
According to leaks
3IAtlas
from
is
inside
racing
the
through our
aerospace
solar
community,
system at roughly
the major
60
space
kilometers
powers,
every
NASA,
single second.
ESA,
That speed alone
Roscosmos,
is staggering,
CNSA,
but it is only
and JAXA
the beginning.
have all formed
As it
emergency
dives
planetary
closer to the
defense
heart of our
task
star,
forces.
its
These aren't
momentum
ordinary
continues
working
to
groups.
build.
They're
By the time it
cross-agency
reaches
teams
its closest
designed to
approach,
share
its
classified
perihelion,
data,
in the
track
final days of
unusual
October,
threats, and
its
coordinate
velocity
potential
is expected to
responses.
surge to
In
nearly
short,
68
humanity's
kilometers
first line
each
of
second.
defense against
Picture
the
this
unknown.
moment.
While the press
An interstellar
releases speak
traveler
blandly of
ejected from a
monitoring
distant
efforts,
and unknown
internal
solar
documents
system
suggest
is now
something far
hurtling
more
straight
serious.
toward
A
the
memo
blazing
leaked from
furnace
NASA's
that
Jet
surrounds our
Propulsion
sun.
Laboratory
This is a region where
describes
radiation
efforts
is
to
fierce.
repurpose
Magnetic
existing
fields
spacecraft
twist and
around
coil
Mars.
like
Probes
living
like
things,
the Mars
and
Reconnaissance
temperatures
Orbiter,
rise
once
high
dedicated
enough
to
to melt
mapping the
even
Martian
the
surface,
most
are now
resilient
being
material.
retasked to
It
focus
is here
almost
in
almost
in this
exclusively
crucible that the
on
object's true
3IAtlas.
nature will be
Every
revealed.
maneuver
Every second
anomalous
counts
burst
as
of
it
gas,
approaches this solar
every
gauntlet.
flicker of reflected
Dust,
light
ice,
is being
and
logged
hidden
with
materials locked
military-level
deep within its
precision.
core will
ESA's
awaken under
Mars
the intense
Express
heat.
2
Gas jets
has been
may
placed
erupt,
on a new
strength
observation
may
schedule,
surge, or it
tasked
may
with keeping
fragment
its cameras
entirely,
fixed on the
scattering
strange
its story
reflective
into
objects in
countless
Martian orbit,
glowing
the ones
shards.
some now
Whatever
believe to be
happens,
scout probes.
the sun will draw out
Meanwhile,
its secrets.
China's
And when
CNSA
it does,
has
our
quietly
telescopes
announced
and instruments
unplanned
will
adjustments
be ready to
its
listen.
Tianwen-1
To
orbiter,
truly follow
a
the
cryptic
journey of
phrase
3IAtlas,
that analysts suspect
we have to
also
look
means
beyond its raw
redirection
speed
toward
and
tracking
study the elegant
3IAtlas.
geometry
The
of its
secrecy
path.
is telling.
This is
None
not
of
a
these
random
agencies
dash
are
through
openly
space.
admitting to the
It
scale
is a
of their
carefully
concern.
carved arc
But the
through our
coordination
solar
itself
system,
is unprecedented.
intersecting the orbits
These
of
nations are
planets,
rivals,
bending
often
under the weight
reluctant to
of the
share
sun's
even
gravity,
basic mission data.
and offering
yet, in
humanity
the case
a
of
series of narrow
3IAtlas,
windows
information is
through
flowing
which we
rapidly
can
between
glimpse
them,
its secrets.
as though they all
Now, if you
recognize
enjoyed
the
this journey
stakes
through
are
the
too
stars,
high for
hit that
competition.
subscribe button
There are even
and
whispers
join
that
us
military
for more
satellites in Earth
cosmic
orbit
discoveries.
have been
In
reassigned
the early
to deep
days of
space
October,
surveillance,
this visitor
feeding
swept past
classified
the red
intelligence
planet,
directly
but
to these
it
planetary
moved
defense
to within
teams.
roughly one
If true,
quarter
this
of
means
the
the response
Earth-Sun
is no longer
distance
purely
from Mars.
scientific.
That
It is
moment
strategic,
was more
defensive,
than a cosmic
acknowledging
coincidence.
that this object
It
might not
created
be
a
just a
perfect
natural
alignment
hazard,
between the
but a
object,
potential
Mars, and our
technological
observing
adversary.
instruments
For now,
scattered
the
across the
public
Martian
sees
sky,
only calm statements
while Earth's
and routine
telescopes will
reports.
soon face
But
the
behind
blinding
closed
brilliance of the
doors,
sun.
humanity is
Mars
mobilizing.
stands in the right
Because
place
if
at the right time, like
3IAtlas
a
is
silent
truly
guardian,
artificial,
holding the line
then
of
its
sight.
approach to Mars
From
may
orbiters to
represent
rovers,
not
every
just a
lens is
scientific
turned
puzzle,
toward this
but the first
celestial
interstellar
messenger.
test
Then,
of whether
on
our
the 21st of
civilization is
October,
ready to face
the dance
another.
changes.
Even if
The sun will
3IAtlas were to
slide
narrowly
directly
miss
between
Mars,
Earth and
the
3IAtlas,
consequences of its close
creating what
encounter could
astronomers
still
call
ripple across the
superior
solar
conjunction.
system. A
From our
collision,
home
or
world,
even a
the
near
object
miss
will
at high
simply
speed,
disappear.
would send
The
shockwaves through
overwhelming light of
space
our
in
star
ways
will
that go
swallow
far
its
beyond the
faint
red
glow.
planet itself.
And for a moment,
Scientists
we'll be
warn
deaf
that
and
an
blind
impact
to its
could
passage.
eject millions of
But
tons
this
of
is not
debris
the end of the
into
story. It is the
interplanetary
silence
space.
before
Some of this
the
material
storm.
would remain trapped in
Because
orbit
as
around
the month
Mars,
nears its
forming
end,
temporary rings
something
of dust
remarkable
and rock.
happens.
Other fragments could
Between
escape
the
the planet's
29th
gravity
and the
entirely,
31st
hurtling through the
3IAtlas
solar
reaches
system at
perihelion,
incredible speed.
the point
These aren't
in its
ordinary
orbit
rocks.
when it
Given the
draws
possibility
closest
that
to the sun,
3IAtlas may
it will be
contain
moving at
metallic or
breathtaking
engineered
speed, its
components,
surface locked
some
in a
of the
battle
debris could
with
carry
intense
traces
solar
of material
radiation.
that are artificial
Icy
or
material
highly
may burst
unusual.
free in
Computer
plumes.
models
Its tail may
predict that
lengthen
certain
into a
fragments
luminous
could reach the
spear of
vicinity
light.
of Earth within
Or,
a decade,
under the
while
crushing
most
forces,
would burn
it
up
could
in our
shatter,
atmosphere.
leaving glowing
Larger or
fragments
more robust
streaking
pieces
through
might
space.
survive
This
entry,
entire sequence,
landing on our
the close
planet
brush with
or
Mars,
in
the
near-Earth
blinding
orbit.
conjunction,
The implications
the
are
fiery
unsettling.
encounter at
If any
perihelion
fragments carry
forms a
engineered
precise
microbes,
cosmic
chemical
choreography.
compounds, or
Each
even
date is a turning
self-replicating
point.
nanotechnology,
Each alignment
they could
opens
introduce
a
previously
new window
unknown
for
elements into
discovery.
Earth's environment.
And while the
This
object
scenario
hurtles
moves
forward on a
beyond the
path
realm
written
of
long before
planetary science
humanity even
and
existed,
into
we
biosecurity
now find
and
ourselves as
astrobiology.
witnesses,
Governments and space
listening to the
agencies are
universe
acutely
as it
aware of the
speaks
stakes.
in the language of
What
light,
arrives from Mars in
geometry,
10
and
years
motion.
could, in
As
theory,
Earth slips
carry
into its
interstellar
blind period,
materials
the
that are
red
entirely
planet
new to
becomes
life
our
on Earth,
cosmic outpost.
or worse,
While the sun's
potentially
brilliance
hazardous.
drowns out the
Even if a
faint light
collision
of
doesn't directly
3IAtlas
threaten Earth,
from our
the
home
debris
world,
field could create
Mars
hazards
holds
for
a clear and
spacecraft,
uninterrupted
satellites,
view.
and future
It is
missions
no
throughout
exaggeration
the inner
to say
solar
that the
system.
most critical
Every
data
probe,
of this entire
rover,
encounter
and
may
satellite
come
operating
not
in the
from
path
Earth,
of Mars's
but
orbital
from that
debris
distant
would need
rust-colored
recalibration and
orbiting
rerouting
high above
to
Mars,
avoid
a
catastrophic
fleet of
impacts.
robotic explorers
What's clear
is already
is that
on
the risk is
standby.
not isolated
The Mars
to a
Express
single planet.
spacecraft
A
and the
single
ExoMars
interstellar
trace gas
object
orbiter
moving
from
at
Europe
extreme
are both
speed and
perfectly
potentially
positioned,
under intelligent
their
control
instruments
could
tuned to
reshape
capture
the solar
the faintest
system's
changes
environment
in
for
light and
decades.
chemistry.
Mars may
Every
be the
pixel,
immediate
every
target,
spectrum, every flicker
but
they
the
record
ripple
will help us
effects,
decode what this
fragments,
interstellar visitor
debris,
is truly
and
made of.
possibly engineered
But they are not
materials
alone.
could extend
Circling
all
the
the way
Martian
to
skies,
Earth and
the Mars
beyond.
Reconnaissance
For astronomers,
Orbiter
this is
carries
both a
one of the
warning and a
sharpest
call to
cameras
vigilance.
ever
The universe
sent
is
to another
vast,
planet,
but objects like
capable of catching
3IAtlas
subtle
prove
details
that a
in the
single,
darkness of space.
small point of light
Alongside
racing
it
through
may even the
void
atmospheric mount
can have
monitor
consequences on a
is ready to
planetary
listen to the
scale.
faint
As the
whispers of
data on
gases and plasma
3IAtlas
as the
continues
object
to
roars
mount,
past.
a sobering
They are
possibility
coordinated,
emerges.
multi-angle
What if this
measurements
interstellar
designed to
object
build
is
a
not just a
three-dimensional
random
story of a
visitor?
traveler
What if it
from
is
another
maneuvering
star system?
deliberately?
While Earth's
adjusting its
telescopes
course
are
with
silenced
precision
by solar
and
glare,
approaching Mars
this
for a
network
reason.
becomes our
If that
eyes
is the
and
case,
ears.
then
It is a
humanity may be
remarkable
on the brink of
demonstration
witnessing
of how
something
far
truly
human technology
unprecedented,
has
the
stretched
first confirmed
beyond our home
extraterrestrial
world.
technology
Mars,
in human
once
history.
a distant target
For
itself,
decades,
now
we have imagined the
stands
ways
as
we
a
might
scientific
detect
ally,
intelligent life beyond
allowing
Earth.
us to
Most
keep
discussions
watching
focus
even
on
when
radio
our
signals,
own
faint
skies
whispers
turn blind.
sent across the
In
cosmic
this moment,
void.
our
Waiting for a
robotic explorers
civilization
are
like
not
ours
just
to
orbiting
listen.
another
We have
planet.
scanned the
They are
skies,
standing on
hoping
the
for a
front line
message
of
hidden in the
discovery.
static.
In
But
the stillness of early
3IAtlas
September,
challenges that
astronomers
paradigm
began
entirely.
to notice something
It suggests
strange.
that first contact might not come
3IAtlas
through
wasn't
communication
behaving
at
the
all.
way the model
It might
said
come
it
as
should.
action, as a physical
Its
object
glow,
crossing
faint at
light
first,
years,
started to
carrying
rise
a
with
message,
a quiet
a
but
probe,
unmistakable
or even a
intensity.
test of our
As the
observational
object
skills.
slipped
This
past the
shifts
two
the
astronomical
conversation
unit
from
mark,
passive
the
listening
increase
to
in
active
brightness
awareness. If
accelerated,
3IAtlas
climbing
is
steadily
indeed an
until it reached a
intelligent
level
artifact,
near
then
magnitude
every
12.
gas pulse,
That might
every
sound
slight
small,
adjustment in
but
its
in the language of
trajectory
the night
is a
sky,
signal
it
in
is
itself.
significant.
It may be observing Mars,
Magnitude
studying
12
our solar
means
system,
the object,
or gauging how we
though
respond to its
invisible
presence.
to the naked
The object's
eye,
approach is not
can be
random.
clearly
It may be
seen through
designed to
modest
interact with
backyard
us
telescopes,
indirectly,
the
testing
kind
our
owned
ability
not
to
just by
detect,
major observatories,
interpret, and
but
react
by
to
patient amateur
extraterrestrial
stargazers
engineering. The
scattered across the
implications are
globe.
staggering.
What was
A guided
expected to be a
interstellar
whisper of
impactor
light had
could
become a
represent a
distinct
civilization
voice,
millions
cutting
of
through the
years
darkness.
ahead of ours,
This surge in
capable of
luminosity
constructing and
did
controlling
not align
objects
with the
across
initial
interstellar
mathematical
distances.
projections.
It would
The models
suggest that
had
intelligent
anticipated a
life
slower,
has not
steadier
only
rise,
survived,
but
but
3IAtlas
mastered
seemed to be
technology far
rewriting the
beyond
script.
anything we can
Perhaps
currently
trapped
comprehend,
pockets of volatile
and the
gases had
potential
begun to erupt
consequences
sooner than
extend
expected,
beyond mere
forming
curiosity.
jets that reflected
A collision
sunlight
with
more
Mars
efficiently.
could alter the
Or
planet
perhaps
physically,
the object's
possibly
surface was
releasing
structurally
debris
different
into
than
the
we
solar
imagined,
system,
its
fragments that
icy
might even
crust
reach Earth over
crumbling
the
into
coming
fine
decades.
dust
If
that
any of these
brightened its
fragments
surrounding
carry engineered
halo.
material
Whatever
or
the
other
cause, this
technologies,
anomaly
the
matters.
impact would have
Brightness
ramifications
is
that
more
reach
than
far
just a
beyond
visual
the
feature.
immediate scientific
It is a
community.
language.
Touching on
It tells
planetary
us about
defense,
composition,
biosecurity,
temperature, internal
and the very
structure,
question
and
of
behavior
humanity's
under
place
solar
in the
stress.
universe. For
Every
astronomers,
unexpected
physicists,
flare, every
and
spike in
planetary
intensity
scientists,
is a clue.
this is the opportunity
And right
of a
now,
lifetime. A
3IAtlas
chance to
is
study an
speaking in a
interstellar
way that has
object
caught
in
the
real
attention
time,
of both
possibly
professionals
confirming the
and
existence of
skywatchers alike.
intelligence beyond
It's a
our
reminder
planet.
that
For
in the
everyone
quiet
else,
expanse of
it is a
space,
cosmic
even the
warning.
smallest
The
shift
universe
can
may
reveal
be
something
far
extraordinary.
stranger and
On
more
a cold
active
Martian
than we
night,
had
as
ever
Perseverance
imagined.
turned its
As
camera
September
toward the sky,
2025
something
approaches,
remarkable
all
appeared.
eyes will
In
turn
a
to
sequence
Mars
of long,
and the sky
stacked
above it.
exposures,
The
a
silent
single
pulses
narrow
of
streak cut
3IAtlas
across
may
the
soon
stillness of
answer
the
the
star
age-old
field,
question:
a diagonal
are we
slash
alone?
of light
But the
that
answer may
refused to
come not
vanish.
as a gentle signal,
One frame
but as a
after another,
glowing
it held
green
its shape,
comet,
its angle,
racing
its
at
motion.
unimaginable
This was no
speed,
random
threading
glitch.
the eye of a
This was a
cosmic
traveler
needle,
in motion.
and possibly
Cosmic rays strike
rewriting
sensors in
humanity's
unpredictable
understanding
bursts,
of its place
brief
in the
and
cosmos.
chaotic.
The universe
Satellites
is watching,
orbiting Mars
and so,
trace
it
smooth
seems,
arcs
is
that can
something
be
else.
calculated
As
and
we watch
identified.
Mars rise
But
in the
this
night sky
streak
this
matched
September,
neither.
remember that
Direction, its
above the
timing,
rusty
and
horizon,
its sharpness
something
aligned with the predicted
extraordinary
path
is
of
unfolding.
3IAtlas as it swept
3IAtlas
past the
is
red
threading
planet.
the eye of a
For a
cosmic
rover
needle,
built to search
pulsing
for the
its
traces of
strange green
ancient Martian
exhaust,
life,
adjusting
this
its
was an
path meter by
unexpected
meter.
moment, a
We do not
chance to
yet
catch a
know if it
visitor
is a
from the
natural
stars,
object, a
slicing
guided
through
interstellar
its field
visitor,
of view.
or a piece of
The image
technology from a
itself is
civilization
not
far
spectacular
beyond
in
our
the
own.
way a
But
comet
one thing
tail
is clear:
blazes
the
across an
universe
Earth
has
sky.
a story to tell.
It is
And
subtle,
this time,
almost
it
delicate,
may be coming
but
directly to
science
our
often
celestial
hides
neighbor.
its greatest
Whether
revelations in these
3IAtlas
quiet
passes
details.
safely,
That thin
grazes
streak
Mars,
is evidence,
or
a puzzle
collides with
piece
devastating
fitting
force,
perfectly into orbital
humanity is witnessing an
calculations,
event unlike
confirming that
any
the object
in
was
recorded
exactly
history.
where it was
A
expected to
cosmic
be,
experiment,
and
a
moving
warning,
as fast
or
as the
perhaps
models
a first
had predicted.
contact that
For the
challenges
teams watching
everything
from
we
millions
think we
of
know.
kilometers
The
away,
question remains:
this single
are we
observation
alone,
carries weight.
or is
It
someone
bridges
or something
theory
out there
and reality.
watching,
It
testing,
transforms
and
numbers
reaching
on a
across
screen
the stars?
into something
Keep your eyes on the
tangible,
skies.
captured by a
History is
machine
unfolding,
resting on
and soon soon,
alien soil.
we may see the answer in
Perseverance
motion.
became, for a
If you
brief and
found this
extraordinary
journey
moment,
through hidden
a witness
science,
to an interstellar
cosmic
visitor
secrets, and
racing
potential
past
alien
Mars.
infrastructure
And
as
that
mind-blowing
streak of
as we
light,
did.
faint
Make
but
sure to subscribe
undeniable,
and hit the notification
now belongs
bell.
to the growing
Don't miss
archive
future
of human knowledge
explorations into the
about this
universe's
wandering
deepest
messenger
mysteries,
from beyond our
because some
sun.
secrets are
As
just waiting to be
3IAtlas
uncovered.
surges closer to the blazing heart of our star, its behavior begins to shift in ways that command attention. Scientists around the world are carefully watching as the sunlight fierce and
How fast
unrelenting,
would an
strikes
object
its
need
surface.
to be moving to
What was
completely
once a
shatter
silent
Mars's
traveler
surface
is now
and create
coming
a
alive
crater
under the
15
pressure of
kilometers
solar
wide?
radiation.
The answer is
The
exactly
leading
the
theory
speed
is
that
simple in
IAtlas is
concept,
traveling right
but
now,
profound in
87
consequence.
kilometers per second,
Intense
with a
heating from the
12
sun
billion
is
ton
awakening
mass
the
that
frozen
includes a
material
mysterious
buried
metallic
deep
core.
inside the
NASA's
object.
latest
Ices
classified data
locked in
reveals
place for
this
untold
isn't
ages
behaving
are
like
suddenly
any natural
bursting
object
free,
we've ever
releasing
studied,
gas
and the
and
trajectory
dust into
calculations
space.
are becoming
But this
more
is no ordinary
terrifying with
reaction.
each update.
As the
In
solar
the next
wind
few
collides
minutes,
with that
I'm going to
escaping
show you the
material,
evidence that
plasma
has Harvard
interactions ignite a
astrophysicists
complex chain of
questioning
events.
whether we're looking at alien
Spectroscopic
technology,
measurements
why
are
the
already
object's
hinting at
clockwork
something
pulsing
familiar
patterns are
and
impossible to
intriguing.
explain naturally,
Astronomers are
and
watching
exactly
for the
what will
telltale
happen if
signs
this
of
thing
C2
hits Mars
emissions
in
known
September.
as swan bands,
On July the 1st,
a signature
astronomers
often
made a
linked to
discovery that
comets
would
when
soon
carbon
ignite heated
molecules are
debates
excited
across the
by
global
sunlight.
scientific community.
These emissions
A strange
can create
object,
a
later
luminous
designated
green glow,
3IAtlas,
a kind
was
of
spotted
emerald
entering our
halo
solar
that wraps
system.
around
At
the
first
object
glance,
as
it seemed like a
hurtles
typical
forward.
interstellar
If
comet,
this glow
the kind of
strengthens,
icy
it may
body
reveal
we might
not
expect
only
to
what
pass
3IAtlas
through from the
is
far
made
reaches of space.
but how
Astronomers
it's
assumed
responding
it would
to
behave
the
like
solar
countless
environment.
other comets,
But there's more.
approaching the
Alongside
sun,
this growing
venting
brightness,
gas
scientists
and
are
dust,
preparing
and then
for the
fading back
possibility of
into the
structural
blackness
change.
of interstellar
The
space.
intense heating,
But as
the
more
jets of
data
gas,
began to pour
the
in,
violent
it became
pressure
clear
from
that
sunlight
this was no
itself,
ordinary
all of
comet.
it could crack
The orbital
or
path,
fracture the surface.
speed, and the very behavior of
The object may
3IAtlas
fragment, shedding
stood out
pieces
as
that
anomalies.
spiral behind
Most
it like
comets are
glowing embers.
unpredictable, but still
Or it may
bound
hold
by the
together,
chaotic
becoming
physics of
brighter
ice
still
and rock.
as its
This one seemed
envelope
to be operating
thickened.
with precision.
In this
That's
moment,
when Harvard
3IAtlas
astrophysicist
is no
Avi
longer
Loeb,
just a distant
already
point
known
of
for
light.
his bold
It
suggestion
is an unfolding
that
physical
another
drama,
interstellar
ice,
visitor,
gas, and sunlight locked in a
might have been
delicate and
artificial,
volatile dance.
stepped forward
The
with a
emerald
theory that
glow,
shook the
if
scientific
confirmed,
establishment.
will not just be beautiful.
Loeb suggested that
It will be a
3IAtlas
message
might
written in
not be a
chemistry,
random chunk of rock
telling
and ice
us
at all.
about the building blocks
Instead,
of a
he
world that was
proposed it could
born
be
far
some form
beyond
of
the reach
alien
of our
technology,
sun.
a piece
The
of
story of
machinery traveling
3IAtlas
between
does
star
not
systems
end with a
with
single
a purpose
flyby
we do
or a
not
fleeting
yet
glimpse.
understand. At
Its
first,
passage through
many
our solar
dismissed his
system
claims
is
as
being tracked
speculation.
with extraordinary
After all,
patience and
it is
foresight,
easier to assume
extending
natural
far
origins
beyond
than
the
to leap
immediate
to
observations from
extraterrestrial
Mars.
explanations.
The European
but
Space
as telescopes
Agency's
tracked
JUICE
the object
spacecraft,
night after night,
already
the data
navigating
started
the inner
leaning closer
reaches
toward
of the
Loeb's
solar
controversial
system,
idea.
will join
Its
this
movement
grand
did not
surveillance,
entirely match the
offering a
behavior
wider
of a passive
perspective
natural
and
comet.
extended
Instead,
baseline
it appeared
for
to
monitoring.
respond to
This
gravitational
is the
tugs
nature
in
of
ways that
serious
looked calculated,
scientific
as though
investigation.
adjustments were being made.
Observing an
This
interstellar
raised
object
deeper
is
questions.
not a race to
If
capture a single
3IAtlas
moment.
is not a natural
It is a
body,
relay that
then what
stretches
exactly
across
is it?
months,
Could it be a
even
derelict
years.
probe from a
Data
civilization
collected
millions
today
of years
may not
older
reach
than ours,
public archives
drifting
for
through
some time.
space until it found
Operational
another
constraints,
planetary system?
line of
Or
sight
is it an active
limitations,
messenger,
and the intricate
deliberately
choreography
launched
of
and
space
guided to pass
communications mean
close
that
to planets
portions
like
of
Mars?
the
The suggestion that
JSAT
we may be
might
witnessing
remain
alien
private until the
technology
year
is not one that
2026.
scientists make lightly.
Yet this
It
delay
challenges
is not a
centuries
drawback.
of
It
assumptions about
reflects the rigor
humanity's
of
place
modern
in the
astronomy.
universe.
Each
But
measurement, each
3IAtlas
spectrum,
refuses
each
to
image
fit
must be
neatly into the
carefully
familiar
processed,
categories of
validated,
comet or
and
asteroid.
cross-referenced
It is something
with
different.
parallel
And the fact that it
observations.
has come so close
Only
to our
then
solar
can we be
neighborhood,
confident
heading
that
toward
what
the
we have
red planet,
captured
only
is not an
deepens the
illusion,
mystery.
a
As more
random
evidence
cosmic
accumulates,
ray, or a
Avi Loeb's voice
miscalculation
has grown
in our
louder,
instruments.
urging the scientific
By combining
community not to
immediate
dismiss the
observations with
possibility too
long-term
quickly.
monitoring,
He warns that
scientists
labeling
hope
the
to build
object
a
as
complete
just another
portrait
comet
of
could blind us to the
3IAtlas.
reality that we may be
Every
looking at the
angle,
first
every
true
wavelength,
sign
every
of
fleeting
advanced life
anomaly
beyond
contributes
Earth.
to
And
a
if he is
deeper
correct,
understanding
then
of its
3IAtlas
structure,
is not
its
just
chemistry,
passing
and
through.
its journey.
It
In
is
this
a
way,
message,
patience
a
becomes
machine,
a tool as
or
vital as
perhaps even a
telescopes or
test.
cameras.
When astronomers
And when
first
the full
locked
story
onto
finally
3IAtlas
emerges,
in early
we
July,
will have a
the
rich,
general consensus
verified
was
record of one of the
reassuring.
most
This
remarkable
interstellar traveler,
visitors
though fast
humanity
and
has
unusual,
ever
seemed
witnessed.
destined to
Within a
sweep
single
past
decade,
Mars at a safe
humanity
distance.
has now
It would be
encountered 3
spectacular to
confirmed
observe,
visitors
but
from
ultimately
beyond our
harmless.
solar system.
A cosmic
First came
firework flashing
Oumuamua,
by,
a strange,
and then
elongated body
vanishing back
that
into the
defied every
darkness of deep
expectation.
space. But that
Then
sense
Borisov
of calm
arrived, a more
didn't
familiar
last long.
cometary
As more
object, yet
observatories
still
began
full
to
of
feed in their
surprises.
data,
And
both
now
Harvard's team
3IAtlas takes
and
its
NASA's
place
Jet
among these
Propulsion
cosmic
Laboratory took a
each
closer
one
look at
challenging
the
what we
object's
thought
path.
we knew
What
about
they found
interstellar
quickly
travelers.
erased the comfort
Each of
that
these
early
objects
assessment.
tells a
The
different
trajectory
story.
wasn't stable.
Oumuamua
In fact, it
passed
was
through like a
tightening.
ghost,
Instead
its
of
unusual
drifting
shape
along a
and
predictable
acceleration
course,
puzzling scientists
3IAtlas
and inspiring
was
countless
bending
theories.
inward toward Mars in a
Borisov,
way
with its
no
icy
one had
tail
expected.
and familiar
Before we dive
chemistry,
in, Hit that
reminded us
subscribe
that
button
interstellar
and turn on
objects can also
notifications.
behave
You
in
don't want to
ways
miss
that
any
echo
updates on the
our
universe's
own
deepest
comets,
secrets.
yet
And if you
still
love
with
exploring hidden
deviations that
mysteries
made it
and unexplained discoveries,
3IAtlas
give this
now
video a
continues
like
this
so
trend,
we know
revealing
to keep
phenomena we
uncovering
did
them.
not
The
anticipate.
updated calculations are nothing
Unexpected
short of
brightness
alarming.
surges,
According to current
rapid
models,
rotation,
3IAtlas
plasma
is now
interactions,
projected
and
to make
chemical
its closest
emissions
approach
that
to the
may
red planet
illuminate
on
its
September
composition.
26,
This
2025.
trio of
The
wanderers
distance,
forces us
just
to rethink the
1.95 million
boundaries
kilometers.
of
In
planetary
the scale
science.
of interplanetary
They
space,
remind us that the
that's
cosmos
razor
is far
thin,
richer,
close
more
enough that
varied,
Mars's
and far
gravity
less
could actually
predictable
begin
than
to
our
tug at
models
the
often
object,
assume.
influencing its
Every new
motion in
visitor
subtle
from the
but critical
stars
ways.
acts
To
as
put
a
it into
natural
perspective,
laboratory, testing our understanding,
this distance
refining
is
our
about 5 times the
calculations,
gap
and
between Earth and
sometimes
the Moon.
overturning
In everyday
long-held
terms,
assumptions.
that might sound wide.
And in
But
observing
in orbital mechanics, it's a
3IAtlas,
cosmic
we
near
are
miss.
witnessing
The difference
science
between a
in
safe
motion.
flyby
It is a
and a
lesson
direct
in
impact
humility, a
comes down to
reminder
tiny
that
deviations,
even as our instruments
sometimes
grow
no more than a
sharper
fraction of a
and our
degree
models
or a few
more
seconds of
sophisticated,
acceleration,
the
and with
universe
every hour that
continues to
passes,
surprise,
gravitational
provoke,
nudges
and
from the
inspire.
Sun,
Each
Jupiter,
interstellar
and
visitor
Mars
is a
itself
teacher,
are
and
reshaping
3IAtlas has
3IAtlas's
just
course
begun its lecture.
in ways that add
What
up over
3IAtlas
millions of
teaches us
kilometers.
extends
Astronomers
far
describe
beyond
the situation
specifics
as a
of its
balancing act on a
pathochemistry.
razor's edge.
This event
Even
is
now,
a window
as predictions
into
improve,
the very
the object's
essence
path
of
is being
scientific
updated
progress.
almost daily. The
Discovery
closer
does
it
not
gets,
arrive in a
the harder
single
it
flash
becomes
of
to ignore the
certainty.
possibility
It
that
unfolds
Mars
slowly,
could end up
patiently,
directly
piece
in
by
the
piece,
crosshairs.
through careful
What makes
measurements,
this more
repeated
unsettling
observations,
is the
and
speed at
independent
which these changes
confirmation.
are happening.
It is the
Normal
meticulous
comets can wander
collection
in
of
their
data,
orbits
the
due to
layering of
outgassing,
evidence,
plumes of
and the
gas and
relentless
dust that
questioning
act
of
like tiny
assumptions that build
thrusters.
true
But
understanding.
3IAtlas
In the
is
weeks to come, as
accelerating and
3IAtlas
adjusting in
disappears
ways that look
temporarily
deliberate,
behind
not
the
random.
glare of the sun
Every
from
shift in
Earth's
its path
perspective,
seems to tighten
we
the noose
wait,
around Mars.
we prepare
as
for
if
the
the red
moment
planet
it
is the
reemerges
destination
in
rather
December,
than an accidental
transformed by its
bystander.
passage
If these calculations
through
hold,
the solar
Mars
inferno.
is not just going
At
to
that
get
point,
a close
fresh
encounter.
observations
It could
will
be
be
staring
gathered,
down the
compared
most
with the
dangerous
recordings
cosmic
made before
visitor
its
in its
perihelion
recorded history,
and analyzed
and the
with
date
precision.
is already circled
Every
on every
shift in
astronomer's
brightness,
calendar.
every spectral
Late
signature,
September,
every
2025.
plume of gas
That is
or
when
dust
we will know
will be
once and
examined.
for all
These
whether
observations
3IAtlas
will
will
not
simply
remain
graze
mere
past
numbers on the
Mars
screen.
or
They
collide
will
with
form the
devastating
foundation
force.
of research
If the
papers,
trajectory of
doctoral
3IAtlas
theses,
wasn't enough to
and
raise
scientific
alarms,
discussions
its
that may
sheer
reshape
speed
our
has left
understanding of
scientists
interstellar
stunned.
objects.
This object
Future
is not just
generations
moving
of
fast.
astronomers will
It's moving
reference the
faster
Martian
than
imaging
anything
campaigns,
humanity has
the
ever
brightness
recorded
anomalies,
coming into
the
the solar
diagonal
system
streaks
from
captured
interstellar
by
space.
perseverance,
Current measurements place its
and the
velocity
spectral
at an
fingerprints
astonishing 87
recorded by
kilometers per
orbiting
second
observatories.
relative to the Sun. To
3IAtlas
put that into
reminds us
perspective,
that knowledge is not delivered in moments of spectacle alone.
Imagine the
It
vast
grows
gulf
quietly
between
through
Earth and the
dedication,
Moon,
patience, and
a distance of
curiosity.
nearly
The
400,000
universe
kilometers.
owes us no
At its present
simplicity,
speed,
no easy
3IAtlas
answers.
could
Yet
cover
it
that
offers
distance in less than 80
and in that
minutes.
consistency,
That is faster
armed
than the
with
speed of most
technology,
spacecraft by
imagination,
several
and
orders of
persistence,
magnitude.
humanity
Faster even
stands
than the
ready,
escape
listening
velocity
intently
needed
to
to
a
break
visitor
free
from the
from our
stars,
solar system.
learning
It is,
lessons that will
quite
last
literally,
far
a
longer than the
bullet
fleeting
tearing
light of any
across the
comet
cosmic
or
void.
asteroid.
But speed alone
Don't
isn't
forget
the
to
only
subscribe
concern.
and stay tuned.
The more dangerous
Tomorrow
factor
we'll release
is what
a
happens when
brand
an
new
object
video,
moving this fast
and there's so much
interacts
more
with the
of the
gravitational
universe waiting
forces
to
of
be
the solar
explored.
system. Every
People
planet,
often ask me
every
as a
moon,
theoretical
even the
physicist,
sun itself
when will the
exerts a
universe
pull.
reveal its
For a
next
normal comet,
stunning
these
secret?
tugs shift
My
the
answer
orbit
is simple.
slightly,
That
nudging
moment
it
is
onto a
unfolding
new,
right
but
now.
still
A
predictable
traveler
path.
from the
For
darkness
something as
between
fast
the
and
stars
massive as
has
3IAtlas,
arrived.
however,
If you're watching
even the
this,
smallest nudge
drop a
becomes
comment below
magnified
and tell
over
us
time.
where in the
Astronomers
world
have
are you
calculated
seeing this
that with
video
each
from?
passing
We'd
hour,
love to
the
know.
object's trajectory
Officially
is being
cataloged
adjusted
as
by mere
3IAtlas,
micrometers per
it is
second.
carving its
On
way
paper,
through our solar
that might
system
sound
at breathtaking
insignificant,
speed.
almost
This
laughably
is not
small,
some distant
but stretched
mathematical
across
theory or an
tens of
abstract
millions of
concept whispered
kilometers.
about
These
in
minuscule
lecture
changes
halls.
add up to vast
This is a live
deviation,
demonstration
enough to
of
alter whether
celestial
the object
mechanics,
harmlessly
plasma
grazes
dynamics,
past Mars
and the raw
or collides
physics
with
that
devastating
shape our
precision.
cosmic neighborhood.
This is why
We are
scientists
witnessing
describe
in
the
real
situation
time,
as
something
unstable.
extraordinary.
3IAtlas
Imagine this
is like
visitor,
a high-speed
born in
train
some faraway
racing
star
along a
system,
track
now
where
drifting
even the
into the
slightest
bright
bend could
glare
send
of our
it
sun.
careening into
As
disaster.
its icy
Its
surface
momentum
awakens
makes it incredibly
under
resistant to
intense
stopping,
radiation,
but
the
frighteningly
object
sensitive
begins
to the
to speak a language
directional
older than
changes.
human
That
civilization,
combination of
the
unstoppable
language of
speed
light,
and razor-edge
heat, and
instability
velocity.
is what has
It moves
NASA
not
and
as a
Harvard
wandering
astronomers
rock, but
on
as a
edge.
messenger,
The real question
carrying
is
with
this:
it the story
are
of
these
another
shifts
world.
in its path
This is a
purely
rare
natural,
moment for
the
humanity,
result of
not a
random
theory on a
gravitational
chalkboard,
pulls
but a
and
living
chaotic
experiment
outgassing?
racing across
Or
the
are
sky.
they being guided,
Our instruments,
deliberately
perched on distant
steered
worlds
to
and
ensure a
circling
closer
far
and
above the
closer
Martian
pass
surface,
toward Mars?
are already
If the latter is
listening?
true, then
Every
this
shimmer
isn't
of
just a
light,
speeding
every shift
interstellar
in its
rock.
glowing
It's
tail,
something with intent,
every
something
pulse of data
capable of
recorded is
navigating
another
with
sentence in
precision
the story.
at velocities that
3I
dwarf
Atlas is
anything
telling us
humanity has
the
ever
opportunity
engineered.
before us is
The
fleeting.
faster
It
it
will not last
moves,
forever.
the harder it
But
is
for
to
these
ignore what
precious
is at
days,
stake.
we are
A flyby
standing at
would be
the edge of
historic
discovery,
enough. The
looking
fastest
directly
interstellar
at
visitor
something that
ever
came
observed.
from beyond our
But a
sun.
collision at these
Right
speeds
now,
would
3I Atlas
unleash
is
energy
racing through
on
our
a
solar
scale
system
almost
at roughly
beyond
60 kilometers
comprehension.
every
And every
single
hour
second.
that ticks by
That
brings
speed
the
alone
object
is
one step
staggering,
closer.
but it is
Its course
only
more
the
refined,
beginning.
its
As
future
it dives
more
closer to the
uncertain.
heart of our
For
star, its
centuries,
momentum continues
astronomers
to
have
build.
studied comets
By the
and
time
their
it reaches
behavior
its
as they
closest
journey
approach,
closer
it's
to the
perihelion.
sun. When
In the
sunlight
final days
strikes
of
a comet's
October,
icy surface,
its velocity
frozen
is
gases
expected to
sublimate,
surge to nearly
venting into
68
space in
kilometers
random
each second.
bursts. These
These
eruptions
moment,
create the glowing
an
tails
interstellar
we see
traveler
streaking across
ejected
the
from a
sky.
distant
But
and
the one
unknown solar
constant in
system
cometary science
is now
chaos.
hurtling straight
Events
toward the
are
blazing
unpredictable,
furnace that
irregular,
surrounds our sun.
and never precise.
This is a region where radiation is
Atlas,
fierce.
however, is
Magnetic
breaking every
fields
rule.
twist and coil
Instead of releasing
like
gas
living
at random
things,
intervals,
and
telescopes
temperatures
around
rise
the world
high
have
enough to
detected an
melt even
astonishing
the
pattern.
most resilient
Precise,
materials.
clock-like pulses
It is here in this
every
crucible
17
that the
minutes.
object's true
Not
nature
once,
will be
not
revealed.
twice, but over
Every
days
second
of continuous
counts as it approaches
observation.
this solar
This
gauntlet.
rhythm has held
Dust,
steady,
ice,
as if
and
the
hidden
object were
materials
running
locked
on some
deep within
kind
its
of
core
internal
will
timer.
awaken under
This
the
is not
intense
the
heat.
behavior of a
Gas
natural
jets may
body.
erupt,
No comet
brines
in the
may
solar
surge,
system
or
has
it may
ever
fragment
demonstrated
entirely,
anything like
scattering
it.
its
In
story
fact,
into
scientists
countless
liken it to the
glowing
ticking of a
shards.
metronome
Whatever
or the steady
happens,
firing
the
of
sun will
thrusters
draw
on a
out its
spacecraft.
secrets.
Each pulse
And when it
releases
does,
gas
our
in a controlled
telescopes and
burst,
instruments
producing
will be
just
ready
enough
to
force
listen.
to subtly shift
To
the
truly
object's
follow
path.
the journey
And
of
when those
3I
shifts are added
Atlas,
together over
we
time,
have to look
they
beyond its
form
raw
a clear
speed
pattern.
and study the
object
elegant
is
geometry
being
of its
steered
path.
toward Mars'
This is not a
orbital plane.
random dash
Think
through
about the
space.
implications.
It is a
Natural
carefully
comets
carved
vent
arc
when
through our
sunlight
solar
heats
system,
fresh patches of
intersecting
ice.
the orbits of
And
planets,
those eruptions are
bending
chaotic.
under the weight
Jets
of the sun's
firing
gravity,
here, then there,
and offering
often
humanity
breaking
a
apart
series
the
of
nucleus
narrow
as
windows
the comet
through
tumbles
which
through
we can
space.
glimpse
But
its
3I
secrets.
Atlas
Now, if you
behaves
enjoyed
with
this
an
journey
eerie
through the
precision.
stars, hit that
The gas doesn't
subscribe
erupt
button
randomly.
and
It
join
fires
us
in
for
deliberate,
more
synchronized
cosmic
jets,
discoveries.
as though
In the
following
early days of
instructions.
October, this visitor
Astronomers
swept
watching
past the
this
red
phenomenon
planet.
have
But
admitted that
it
no
moved
known
to
natural
within roughly
process
one
can
quarter
explain
of the
such
Earth-Sun
clockwork regularity.
distance from
One
Mars.
researcher described
That
it as
moment was
attitude
more than
control,
a cosmic
the exact
coincidence.
same techniques
It created a
spacecraft use
perfect
to adjust
alignment
their
between the
orientation
object,
and
Mars,
trajectory
and our
with
observing
small
instruments
bursts of
scattered
propellant.
across the
It's
Martian
as if
sky.
3I
While
Atlas
Earth's
is flying
telescopes will
itself,
soon face the
adjusting its
blinding
course
brilliance of the
step by
sun,
step.
Mars
as it
stands in the
races
right
through the
place at the
solar
right
system.
time, like a silent
And the
guardian
target of these
holding the line of
adjustments?
sight.
Mars.
From orbiters to
Each
rovers,
synchronized
every lens is
outburst
turned
appears
toward
aligned
this
to gradually
celestial
reduce
messenger.
the missed distance,
Then, on the
pulling the
21st of
object
October,
ever
the
closer to
dance
the red
changes.
planet's path. By
The sun
September
will
of
slide directly
2025,
between Earth
the
and
cumulative
3I
effect
Atlas,
of these tiny
creating
pulses
what
could
astronomers
shrink the
call
gap from
superior
millions of
conjunction.
kilometers to
From
just
our home
tens
world,
of thousands,
the object will
closer
simply
than some
disappear.
of Mars's
The
own
overwhelming
moons.
light
If
of our
this is merely
star will
coincidence,
swallow its
it is the
faint
most
glow,
extraordinary
and for a
one
moment,
in the history
we'll be
of
deaf
comet
and blind
science.
to its passage.
But if it isn't,
But
then
this
what
is
we are
not the
watching
end of the story.
is no
It is
random
the silence
outgassing at all.
before the
It is
storm.
navigation,
Because
deliberate,
as the month
precise,
nears
and
its
perhaps
end,
purposeful.
something
The question
remarkable
then
happens.
becomes chilling.
Between
Who
the
or
29th
what
and the
programmed this
31st
interstellar
3I
traveler
Atlas
to
reaches
behave this
perihelion,
way? The tightening
point
trajectory of
in its
3I
orbit,
Atlas
when it
has led to
draws
one
closest to the
terrifying
sun,
possibility.
it will be
a
moving
direct
at
collision
breathtaking
with
speed,
Mars.
its surface
Right
locked in
now,
a battle
the
with
object object is
intense
still
solar
on course
radiation.
for a near miss.
Icy material
But
may burst
astronomers
free in
warn that it
plumes.
wouldn't
Its
take
tail
much
may
to
lengthen
tip the
into a
balance.
luminous
A change
spear
of just
of light.
10 kilometers per
Or,
second
under the
in
crushing
velocity.
forces,
A tiny
it could shatter,
fraction
leaving
compared to
glowing
its current
fragments
speed
streaking through
could
space.
redirect
This
the
entire
object
sequence,
straight into the
close
red
brush with
planet.
Mars, the blinding
This isn't a
conjunction,
far-fetched
the fiery
what if.
encounter
The
at
outgassing
perihelion
pulses
forms
already
a precise
observed are
cosmic
providing
choreography.
small but steady
Each
bursts
date
of
is
thrust.
a turning point.
And if one of those
Each
bursts
alignment
happens to
opens
align
a
just
new
right,
window
it could provide
for
the additional
discovery.
momentum needed
And while the
to
object
shift its
hurtles
orbit
forward
into
on
a
a path
collision
written
path.
long
In
before
other words,
humanity even
the comet
existed,
may already have
we
the
now
means
find
to deliver
ourselves
that
as
final
witnesses
push. If
listening
impact
to the
occurs,
universe as
the
it speaks
consequences
in the
for
language
Mars
of
would
light,
be catastrophic.
geometry, and
Scientists
motion.
estimate the
As
mass
Earth
of
slips into its
3IAtlas
blind
at nearly
period, the
10
red
billion
planet
tons,
becomes our
with a
cosmic
dense
outpost.
metallic core
While the
roughly
sun's
400
brilliance
meters
drowns out the
across.
faint light
A
of
body of that size
3IAtlas
striking
from our
at
home
interstellar
world,
velocity
Mars
would
holds
unleash
a
an
clear and
explosion
uninterrupted
equivalent
view.
to 2 million
It is
megatons
no
of
exaggeration
TNT.
to say that the most
That's not
critical
twice
data
the
of this
yield of the
entire
largest nuclear
encounter
device
may
ever
come
tested.
not from Earth,
It's
but
thousands
from
of
that
times
distant
greater.
rust-colored
The
world.
crater left behind
Orbiting
would
high
be
above
apocalyptic
Mars,
in
a
scale.
fleet of robotic
60 fighter
explorers
sounders,
is already on
kilometers wide
standby.
and 5
The
kilometers
Mars Express
deep.
spacecraft
A wound
and the
carved
ExoMars
into
Trace
the
Gas
Martian
Orbiter from Europe
surface that would
are both
remain visible
perfectly
for
positioned.
eons.
Their
Shockwaves
instruments
would ripple
tuned to
across
capture
the
the
planet,
faintest
while
changes
molten
in
debris
light and
would be
chemistry.
thrown high into
Every
the
pixel, every
atmosphere and
spectrum,
far
every flicker
into
they record will
space.
help us
Some of it
decode
could
what
even
this
escape
interstellar
Mars's
visitor is
gravity
truly made of.
entirely, spreading
But they are
across
not
the solar
alone.
system.
Circling
The
the
damage
Martian
wouldn't be
skies, the
confined to the
Mars
planet
Reconnaissance
itself.
Orbiter
Mars is a
carries
hub of
one of the
exploration,
sharpest
home to
cameras
orbiters,
ever
rovers,
sent
and
to another
landers
planet,
from multiple space
capable
agencies.
of catching
Satellites
subtle
like the
details
Mars
in the
Reconnaissance
darkness of
Orbiter,
space.
the
Alongside
European
it,
Mars
Maven the
Express,
Mount
and
Monitor
surface missions
is ready
like
to listen to the
Perseverance
faint
and
whispers of
Curiosity
gases
form
and
the
plasma
backbone
as
of our
the object
Martian
roars
science.
past.
An impact of
They
this
are
magnitude
coordinated,
could destroy
multi-angle
or cripple
measurements
decades of
designed to build
progress
a
in a single
three-dimensional
instant.
story of a traveler
Communications
from another
relays could
star
vanish.
system.
Climate
While
data,
Earth's
life
telescopes are
search missions,
silenced by
and
solar
future
glare,
human
this
exploration
network
plans
becomes
could all
our
be set
eyes
back
and
by
ears.
generations.
It is a
For
remarkable
scientists,
demonstration
the potential
of how far
impact
human
represents both
technology
nightmare
has
and
stretched
opportunity.
beyond our
It would be
home
the
world.
largest planetary
Mars,
collision
once
witnessed
a
in the
distant
modern
target
era,
itself,
a once-in-a-civilization
now
chance
stands as a
to study
scientific
interstellar
ally,
material
allowing us to
interacting
keep
violently
watching
with another
even when
world.
our
But
own
it would come
skies
at an
turn
enormous
blind.
cost.
In this moment,
The loss of
our
billions
robotic
of dollars in
explorers are
equipment,
not just
and
orbiting
possibly the
another
contamination
planet.
of
They are
Mars
standing
itself
on the front
with
line of
materials that may
discovery.
not be
In the stillness of
natural
early
at all.
September,
The thought that
astronomers
this could
began
happen,
to notice
not
something
in millions of years,
strange.
but in just over 12
3IAtlas
months, is
wasn't
what keeps
behaving the way the
researchers
model
awake at
said
night.
it should.
September 26,
Its
2025,
glow, faint at
looms
first,
ever
started to
closer,
rise with a
and
quiet
with it,
but
the
unmistakable
possibility of a
intensity.
collision that could
As the
rewrite the
object
history of
slipped past
Mars,
the two
and
astronomical
perhaps the
unit
history
mark,
of intelligent
the
life
increase
in the
in
cosmos.
brightness
Up to this
accelerated,
point, the
climbing
anomalies of
steadily until it reached a
3IAtlas
level
could be
near
explained away,
magnitude 12.
at least in
That
theory,
might sound
as rare
small,
but
but in the
natural
language of the
behaviors.
night sky,
An odd
it is
trajectory,
significant.
strange gas emissions,
Magnitude
even
12
its incredible
means
speed
the
might be
object,
stretched into the
though
realm of
invisible
possibility.
to the
But the
naked
most recent
eye,
evidence is
can be
something
clearly
altogether
seen
different.
through modest
Deep space
backyard
radar
telescopes,
facilities,
the kind
including
owned
NASA's
not just by
powerful
major
Goldstone
observatories,
solar system
but
radar
by
in
patient
California,
amateur
have been quietly
stargazers
tracking
scattered across the
3IAtlas
globe.
since its
What was
discovery.
expected to be a
Normally,
whisper of
when
light had
comets are
become a
scanned this
distinct
way,
voice,
the echoes
cutting
return
through the darkness.
soft and diffuse,
This surge in
consistent with
luminosity
surfaces
did
of
not
ice and
align
dust.
with the initial
But the radar
mathematical
profile of
projections.
3IAtlas
The models
was
had
nothing
anticipated
like
a
that.
slower, steadier
Instead
ride,
of scattering
but
gently,
3IAtlas
the
seemed to
radar
be
beams
rewriting
bounced
the
back
script.
with hard
Perhaps
metallic
trapped
echoes,
pockets of volatile
the
gases
kind of
had begun
reflection
to
you'd
erupt
expect
sooner
from
than
steel,
expected, forming
titanium,
jets that
or
reflected
other
sunlight
dense
more
alloys.
efficiently.
Materials
perhaps
like
the
these are not
object's
formed
surface was
naturally in the
structurally
void of
different than we
interstellar
imagined.
space. They are
Its
forged,
icy crust
engineered,
crumbling
for
into
weeks.
fine dust
These results
that
were kept
brightened its
classified,
surrounding halo.
locked away in
Whatever
restricted
the
data
cause, this
servers.
anomaly matters.
But leaks began
Brightness
circulating
is
among the
more than
scientific
just a
community,
visual feature.
hinting at
It
something
is a language.
extraordinary.
It
Harvard
tells us about
astrophysicist
composition,
Avi
temperature,
Loeb,
internal
already
structure, and
controversial for
behavior
suggesting
under solar stress.
Oumuamua might have
Every
been
unexpected
artificial,
flare, every
went
spike
public
in
with his
intensity
interpretation.
is a clue.
Working with one of
And
his
right
graduate
now,
students, he
3IAtlas
argued
is
that the
speaking
echoes
in a way that has caught the
3I
attention of
Atlas
both
is not
professionals
just another
and
comet,
skywatchers
but a
alike.
structure.
It's a
Possibly
reminder that in the
technological
quiet
artifact,
expanse of space,
cloaked beneath
even
a
the
thin
smallest
shell of
shift
ice
can
to
reveal something
masquerade as a
extraordinary.
natural object.
On a cold
This theory
Martian
may
night,
sound
as
like
Perseverance
science
turned
fiction,
its camera
but
towards the
consider
sky,
the evidence.
something
the precise,
remarkable appeared.
timed-out
In a
gassing
sequence of
pulses
long,
behaving like
stacked
thrusters,
exposures,
the deliberate
a
alignment
single
with
narrow
Mars's
streak cut
orbital
across
plane,
the stillness
and
of the
now
star field,
radar
a
signatures
diagonal
indicating
slash of
alloys
light
unknown
that
in natural
refused to
comets.
vanish.
Loeb
One
describes the
frame after
object as
another, it held its
resembling
shape,
an
its angle, its
interstellar
motion.
probe.
This was
a
no
machine
random
built by
glitch.
some intelligence.
This was a
its
traveler
metallic
in
frame
motion.
hidden
Cosmic
beneath
rays
volatile
strike
ices
sensors in
that create a
unpredictable
convincing
bursts,
comet-like
brief and
disguise.
chaotic.
The ice would not
Satellites
only provide
orbiting
camouflage,
Mars
but also
traced
serve as
smooth
fuel,
arcs that
vented
can
in
be
exact
calculated
amounts
and
to alter its
identified.
trajectory,
But this
just
streak
as we've
matched
observed.
neither.
If true,
direction of its timing,
3IAtlas could be
and
the
its
first
sharpness
piece of alien
aligned with the
technology
predicted path of
humanity has ever
3IAtlas
encountered up
as it
close.
swept past
Not a distant
the
radio
red
signal,
planet.
not a
For
mathematical
a rover
anomaly,
built to
a
search
physical
for the
machine,
traces of
a
ancient
visitor
Martian life,
crossing the gulf
this
between
was an
stars.
unexpected
But
moment,
if this
a
is
chance
technology,
to catch a
the
visitor
biggest
from the
question
stars
isn't how it
slicing
works.
through its
The question
field
is
of
why
view.
it's here. And
The
why,
image
of all the
itself
planets
is
in the
not
solar
spectacular
system,
in the
it
way
seems
a
to be steering
comet tail
itself toward
blazes
Mars.
across an Earth's
While
sky.
scientists debate
It is
whether
subtle, almost
3IAtlas is
delicate,
natural
but
or
science
engineered,
often
a
hides
series
its
of
greatest
unsettling
revelations in
observations
these
from
quiet
Mars
details.
has pushed the
That
discussion
thin
into
streak is
darker
evidence, a
territory.
puzzle piece
The
fitting
European Space
perfectly
Agency's
into
Mars
orbital
Express orbiter
calculations,
has been
confirming
circling
that
the
the
red
object
planet
was
since
exactly where it was
2003,
expected to be,
providing some
and
of the most
moving as
detailed
fast as
imagery
the
of its
models had
surface
predicted.
and atmosphere.
For the teams
But in the
watching
last
from millions of
several months,
kilometers away,
its
this
instruments have
single
recorded
observation
something
carries weight.
unusual.
It
3
bridges
small,
theory
highly reflective
and
objects
reality.
glinting just
It
above the
transforms
Martian
numbers
atmosphere.
on a screen
At first,
into something
mission engineers
tangible,
brushed it
captured
off.
by a machine
Cosmic
resting
rays
on
often streak
alien
across
soil.
detectors, leaving
Perseverance
behind
became,
bright
for a brief
specks
and
that mimic
extraordinary
objects
moment,
in
a
space.
witness to an
But this
interstellar
wasn't a
visitor
one-time glitch.
racing past
The
Mars.
same 3 reflections
And that
appeared again
streak of
and
light,
again
faint
and
but
again.
undeniable,
Each time, they
now
were in the
belongs
same
to the
positions,
growing archive
locked
of
in what
human
astronomers
knowledge
now
about
describe
this
as a
wandering
triangular
messenger from
formation.
beyond our sun.
Cosmic rays
As
don't
3I
form
Atlas
triangles,
surges
and they don't
closer
maintain
to the
formation across
blazing heart
multiple
of our
imaging
star,
passes. The
its behavior
unsettling
begins to
implication
shift
is that these aren't
in
sensor
ways
artifacts
that
at all.
command
They could be
attention.
physical craft,
Scientists around
small
the world
probes
are
or
carefully
satellites
watching
deployed
as the
silently
sunlight,
into orbit
fierce and
around
unrelenting,
Mars. Their
strikes its
reflectivity
surface.
suggests
What was once a
metallic
silent
surfaces,
traveler
and
is
their
now coming
spacing is
alive
consistent with
under
a
the pressure
controlled
of solar
configuration
radiation.
rather than random
The
debris.
leading theory
If
is
this
simple
interpretation
in concept,
holds,
but
it
profound
leads to an
in consequence.
extraordinary hypothesis.
Intense heating from the sun
3IAtlas
is awakening
may
the
not be
frozen
arriving
material
alone. It
buried
could already
deep
have
inside the
dispatched
object.
scouts ahead of
Ices
its approach,
locked in place
like
for untold
reconnaissance
ages are
drones
suddenly
preparing the
bursting
ground
free,
for something larger to
releasing
come.
gas and
The
dust
timing is
into
difficult
space.
to ignore.
But this
These
is no
reflective
ordinary
anomalies first
As the
appeared in the
solar
months
wind
after
collides with that
3IAtlas
escaping
was
material,
detected entering
plasma
the solar
interactions
system,
ignite a
as if its
complex
presence
chain
was
of
the
events.
trigger. Skeptics argue there
Spectroscopic
must be a
measurements are
mundane
already
explanation.
hinting at something
Fragments
familiar
of Martian moon,
and intriguing.
perhaps, or untracked
Astronomers
space
are
junk
watching
from
for the
past
telltale
missions.
signs of
Yet
C2
neither
emissions,
Phobos nor
known as
Deimos
swan
can
bands,
account for their
a
exact
signature
altitude
often
or their
linked to
stable
comets
geometry.
when carbon
And human
molecules are excited
spacecraft,
by sunlight.
none are known to be
These
operating in
emissions
that
can
orbit,
create
let
a
alone in
luminous
precise
green glow,
triangular formation.
a kind of
If
emerald
these really
halo
are
that
probes,
wraps
their
around the
mission
object
is a mystery.
as it
Are they
hurtles
monitoring
forward.
Mars's surface,
This glow
mapping its
strengthens.
resources,
It may reveal
tracking our
not
satellites
only
and
what
rovers,
3IAtlas
or
is
are
made
they
of,
simply waiting,
but how
relaying
it's
data
responding
back to the
to
larger
the solar
object
environment.
on its inbound
But
course
there's more.
for the-
Alongside
to avoid
this growing
catastrophic
brightness,
impacts.
scientists are
What's
preparing
clear
for the possibility
is that the
of
risk is
structural
not
change.
isolated to
The
a
intense
single
heating, the
planet,
jets of
a
gas,
single interstellar
the
object,
violent pressure
moving
from
at extreme
sunlight
speed
itself,
and
all of it
potentially
could
under
crack
intelligent
or
control,
fracture the surface.
could reshape the solar system's
The
environment
object may
for
fragment,
decades.
shedding
Mars
pieces
may
that
be the
spiral
immediate
behind
target,
it like
but the
glowing
ripple
embers.
effects,
Or it may
fragments,
hold together,
debris,
becoming brighter
and possibly
still
engineered
as its
materials
envelope
could
thickens.
extend all the way to
In this
Earth
moment,
and beyond.
3IAtlas
For astronomers,
is no longer
this is
just
both
a
a warning
distant point
and a
of
call
light.
to vigilance.
It is an
The
unfolding
universe is
physical
vast,
drama,
but
ice,
objects
gas, and
like
sunlight locked in a
3IAtlas
delicate
prove
and
that a
volatile
single,
dance.
small
The
point of
emerald
light
glow,
racing
if
through the
confirmed,
void,
will
can
not
have
just be
consequences
beautiful.
on a planetary
It will be a
scale.
message
As the
written in
data on
chemistry
3IAtlas
telling us
continues
about
to
the
mount,
building blocks
a
of a
sobering
world that was
possibility
born
emerges.
far beyond the
What
reach
if this
of our
interstellar
sun?
object is
The
not
story
just
of
a random
3IAtlas
visitor?
does
What
not
if it is
end with a
maneuvering
single
deliberately,
flyby or a
adjusting
fleeting
its
glimpse?
course with precision,
Its passage
and
through our
approaching
solar
Mars
system
for a
is
reason?
being tracked
If
with
that is the
extraordinary
case,
patience and
then
foresight,
humanity may be on the
extending
brink
far
of witnessing
beyond the
something
immediate
truly
observations from
unprecedented.
Mars.
The
The
first
European
confirmed
Space
extraterrestrial
Agency's JUICE
technology
spacecraft,
in human history.
already
For
navigating
decades,
the inner reaches
we have
of the
imagined the
solar
ways
system,
we might detect
will
intelligent
join
life
this grand
beyond
surveillance,
Earth. Most
offering
discussions
a
focus
wider
on radio
perspective
signals,
and
faint
extended
whispers sent
baseline
across the
for
cosmic
monitoring.
void,
This is
waiting
the
for a
nature of
civilization
serious
like
science,
ours ears to listen.
scientific
We have
investigation.
scanned the skies,
Observing an
hoping for a
interstellar
message
object
hidden in
is
the
not a
static.
race to
But
capture a single
3IAtlas
moment.
challenges
It is
that
a relay
paradigm
that
entirely.
stretches
It
across
suggests
months,
that first
even
contact
years.
might not come
Data
through
collected
communication
today
at all.
may not reach
It might
public
come as
archives
action,
for some
as a
time.
physical object
Operational
crossing light years,
constraints,
carrying a
line
message,
of sight
a probe,
limitations,
or even a
and the
test
intricate
of our
choreography of
observational
space
skills.
communications
This
mean that
shifts the
portions
conversation
of
from
the
passive listening
DaySat
to active
might remain
awareness.
private
If
until the year
3IAtlas is indeed an
2026.
intelligent artifact,
Yet this
then
delay
every
is
gas
not a
pulse,
drawback. It
every
reflects
slight
the rigor of
adjustment in
modern
its
astronomy.
trajectory, is a
measurement,
signal
each
in itself.
spectrum, each
It
image
may be
must
observing
carefully
Mars,
processed,
studying our
validated,
solar
and
system, or gauging
cross-referenced
how we
with
respond
parallel
to its presence.
observations.
The object's
Only
approach is
then
not random.
can we be
It may
confident
be
that what
designed
we
to
have
interact with
captured
us
is not an
indirectly,
illusion,
testing our
a
ability
random
to
cosmic
detect,
ray,
interpret,
or a
and react
miscalculation
to
in our
extraterrestrial
instruments.
engineering. The
By combining
implications are
immediate
staggering. A
observations
guided
with
interstellar
long-term
impactor
monitoring,
could represent a
scientists hope to build a
civilization millions of
complete
years ahead of
portrait
ours,
of
capable of constructing
3IAtlas.
and controlling
Every
objects
angle,
across
every
interstellar
wavelength,
distances.
every fleeting
It would
anomaly
suggest that
contributes
intelligent
to a
life
deeper
has not only
understanding of its
survived,
structure,
but mastered
its
technology
chemistry,
far
and its
beyond
journey.
anything
In
we
this
can
way,
currently
patience becomes a
comprehend.
tool as
And the
vital as
potential
telescopes or
consequences
cameras.
extend
And
beyond
when the
mere
full story
curiosity.
finally
A
emerges,
collision with Mars
we will
could
have
alter
a
the
rich,
planet physically,
verified
possibly
record of one of the
releasing
most
debris
remarkable
into the
interstellar
solar system,
visitors
fragments
humanity
that might
has
even
ever
reach Earth
witnessed.
over the coming decades.
Within a single
If any of
decade,
these fragments
humanity
carry
has
engineered
now
material
encountered
or other
3 confirmed
technologies,
visitors
the impact
from
would have
beyond our solar
ramifications that
system.
reach far
First came
beyond the immediate
Oumuamua, a
scientific
strange
community,
elongated body
touching on
that
planetary
defied every
defense,
expectation.
biosecurity,
Then
and the
Borisov
very
arrived, a
question
more
of
familiar
humanity's place
cometary
in the
object,
universe.
yet
For
still full of
astronomers,
surprises.
physicists, and
And now
planetary
3IAtlas
scientists,
takes its
this
place
is the
among these
opportunity of
cosmic
a
wanderers.
lifetime. A chance
Each
to
one
study an
challenging what we
interstellar
thought we
object
knew
in real
about
time,
interstellar
possibly
travelers.
confirming the
Each of these
existence of
objects
intelligence
tells a
beyond
different
our
story.
planet. For everyone
Oumuamua
else,
passed
it is a
through like a
cosmic
ghost,
warning.
its
The
unusual shape
universe
and
may be far
acceleration
stranger
puzzling
and
scientists
more active
and
than we
inspiring
have ever
countless
imagined.
theories.
As September
Borisov, with its
2025
icy
approaches,
tail and
all
familiar
eyes will turn
chemistry
to Mars
reminded
and the
us
sky
that interstellar
above it. The
objects
silent
can also
pulses of
behave in ways
3IAtlas may
that
soon
echo
answer the age-old
our
question:
own comets,
are we
yet
alone?
still with
But the answer
deviations
may
that made it
come not as a
unique.
gentle signal, but
3IAtlas
as a
now
glowing green
continues
comet,
this trend,
racing at
revealing
unimaginable
phenomena we
speed,
did not
threading
anticipate.
the eye of a cosmic
Unexpected
needle,
brightness
and
surges,
possibly
rapid
rewriting humanity's
rotation,
understanding
plasma
of its
interactions,
place
and
in the
chemical
cosmos.
emissions
The
that may
universe is
illuminate
watching,
its
and so,
composition.
it seems,
This
is
trio
something
of
else.
wanderers
As we
forces
watch
us to
Mars
rethink
rise
the
in the night
boundaries
sky this
of
September,
planetary science.
remember that
They
above
remind
the
us that the
rusty
cosmos
horizon,
is far richer,
something
more varied,
extraordinary
and
is
far less